a huge day with 156 yards receiving on only 4 receptions. 2 of those went for scores, a 47-yard touchdown in the second quarter, and then a 72-yard touchdown immediately following the Biles touchdown in the third quarter to give East Carolina a lead they would not relinquish. Pitt did not score until late, 1:23 left on the clock, when Trey Bukowski hit a 21-yard field goal to put them within 6. Ultimately, their final drive of the game was thwarted with a tackle on 4th down short of the sticks as the Panthers' last gasp effort fell short, and they fell short in the Go Bowling Military Bowl to East Carolina. My takeaways from the bowl game: we saw the offensive line struggle in pass protection, something that we've seen over the course of the season. I'm not sure I expected to see it like that against East Carolina. We saw a ball security being a problem, a muff punt by Kenny Johnson, who obviously also is in the transfer portal. I don't want to miss those reminders as we proceed, and we'll talk about the transfer portal here in the second segment as we take a look at Pitt football moving forward. But Kenny Johnson with a muff punt, Jakarian Turner with 2 fumbles, a pick by Mason Heichel, just not the Panthers' day, and the ball security issues were on offense and special teams. Both were responsible for that situation. And then the big plays on the back half were not good. But these bowl games are tough to reflect upon. You know, when you're not in the playoff, when you miss an opportunity to play in the ACC championship game, when coaches leave, when the transfer portal is on the horizon, it's the holiday break. I'm not making excuses for Pitt, but they didn't look like a team to me that, you know, I wouldn't say they didn't want to play. That's not true. But a team that was really motivated to go win that game, like there was something on the line. Certainly there was something on the line. As a former player, as a broadcaster, as someone that works in the athletics department, I understand that every time you're on national TV, every time you have an opportunity to play, it's important to play and play well and to win. A 9-win season, a 9-4 record would have been a step forward. Certainly a bowl win would have felt good heading into the offseason. Despite that, an 8-5 finish and a loss in your final game, 2 consecutive losses. I don't think, though, it takes away from the season, from the progress that was made, particularly when you look at the young players that were able to step forward for this football team: Mason Heichel, Jakarian Turner, Trey Bukowski, and so on, that played pivotal roles, particularly on the offensive side of the ball and certainly on special teams. And I also don't think it changes what the Panthers need to do in the transfer portal to address some of their gaps and their issues. And we'll get into that certainly as we talk about 2026 and what that looks like for the Panthers, and who's leaving and who's coming, and a lot to track on that front as well. A look back on 2025 beyond that, and I want to give credit to PittsburghPanthers.com for some of the top moments of 2025. You know, this is a time of year where negativity tends to dominate the storylines, and we certainly can look back in 2025 and be grateful for the moments that were afforded us by these student athletes and by these programs for the University of Pittsburgh. You know, January 12th, Pitt completed its largest regulation comeback in NCAA history in the women's basketball program, overcame a 32-point deficit to beat SMU. Sam Clancy had his jersey retired at the Peterson Event Center, long overdue, on January 18th. Sam Bam Clancy, second highest score for Pitt women's gymnastics in a win over West Virginia, a big-time job. Most outstanding wrestler for the Panthers, with 4 going to the finals. Reese Heller maxed out Dayton Pitzer, who took home the most outstanding wrestler at the ACC Wrestling Championships. Pitt crowned 3 champions and also had the most outstanding wrestler finish second overall. I could go on and on here. Pitt women's swimming and diving, the 800 free relay with a new school record. Max Stout, an All-American on the wrestling mat. The highest NCAA finish for Pitt women's swimming and diving in 29 years, finishing tied for 27th. A ranked win for Pitt's women's lacrosse. A win over Virginia Tech in a series for Pitt softball. Pitt baseball with a walk-off over West Virginia, a very good West Virginia team. Track and field, the 1600 relay won the ACC title. All-Americans, 5 All-Americans at NCAA championships for Pitt track and field. The upset win at Florida State, the quarterback change made to Mason Heichel for the Boston College game, and then obviously he would parlay that into an epic performance in a win over Florida State, 34-31, and they trailed at halftime, outscored Florida State 20-10 in the second half. Desmond Reed with over 200 all-purpose yards, his bright spot of the year. Unfortunately, injuries really shortened his 2025 campaign. And then Heinchel and Jakarian Turner, that was their coming out party. Boston College, we kind of expected it to be, and maybe not as challenging a game, although the Panthers were 2-2 at that point in time, and who knows. But Heinchel threw for 321 and 2 touchdowns, and Turner rushed for 44 yards and had multiple touchdowns in that game, including the game winner with under 3 minutes left in the football game. Big-time stuff. Hat trick for Pitt soccer and a win over Syracuse. Pitt volleyball with an unbelievable year. 41 kills for Olivia Babcock against in that big-time win over number 4 Louisville. Big-time win for Pitt women's soccer over number 1 Notre Dame. And then Babcock breaks her own record with 45 kills in a win at North Carolina. Aaron Donald, my favorite moment of the year, his jersey retired. College game day at Acrisure Stadium on the North Shore for Pitt Notre Dame. So many great moments in 2025, and obviously just a wonderful, wonderful year, but one that we feel like there's more meat on the bone. And with every year that passes by, and certainly the Panthers and those in charge and the athletics program know this, the stakes get higher and higher, whether it's Pitt football, Pitt volleyball, Pitt basketball, competing at a high level, winning championships in conference and advancing to postseason play are critical. And there's dollar signs associated with that, particularly in football and basketball. And 2026 is an important year. And we turn the page. It's now a new year. Pitt basketball's in the throes of ACC play now, having lost their first contest at Miami. They'll take on Clemson today at the Peterson Event Center in a noon tip, which is a big one. Panthers have not had much success against the Clemson Tigers, but this would be a big one to get. Pitt sits at 7-7. Obviously an up-and-down non-conference slate, but I think they've been looking better of late. Nonetheless, it's a tall order to make the NCAA tournament at this point. They're going to need a heck of a run in conference play and also in the conference tournament. But we do see some young players making some strides. Roman Cialepa, Amari Witherspoon, Barry Dunning Jr. Has been great, in addition to Cam Corhan and DeMarco Minor. So good to see these Panthers trending. As I said, we're in the transfer portal window. The college football playoffs in full swing. We'll dive into that a little bit because I think it relates to Pitt and where they're at in terms of as a football program and nationally, where they register on that Richter scale. But 2026 is an important one, and there's a lot to discuss regarding it, and we're going to do that next. But I wanted to look back on 2025 because we tend to focus on the negative so much. A new year provides new opportunity, new outlook, new attitude. But 2025, there's a lot to celebrate as well. But 2026, we hope there's more. And to do that, we will take a quick break. We will come back, and we'll dive into Pitt football, where they stand, having been in the ACC championship title race up until the last week in their loss to Miami, who's now in the CFP semifinal. Who's leaving? What do we think about it? What do I think about it? My thoughts and how to proceed and how to move forward, how Pat Narduzzi charts this path forward for Pitt to capitalize on progress in 2025 and turn it into results in 2026. More Panthers Insider on 93.7 The Fan after this.
Now, Fan Headlines, powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville.
Logan Arblaster with your Fan Headlines. The AFC North title is on the line on Sunday Night Football. The Steelers host the Ravens at Acrisure Stadium. It's the first time in the all-time series between the rivals that the regular season finale will decide the division winner. Kickoff on Sunday night is at 8:25. Headlines are powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville. More at 937thefan.com.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and lose the weight or stop smoking. Only $59.99. Weight loss hypnosis Sunday, January 11th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, Pittsburgh, West and Green Tree at 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis at 2 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. Walk-ins welcome. Register 30 minutes before.
If you're considering functional medicine, there's only one Steel City Medical Center. We specialize in bioidentical hormones for women, testosterone replacement, peptides, medical weight loss, and medical weight loss done the right way. Our highly educated, experienced medical team is here for you. If experience and results matter, there's only one, Steel City Medical Center, serving the greater Pittsburgh market for 10 years with a 5-star rating. Steel City Medical Center.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-941-2255. That's 800-941-2255.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
My name is Brian. I've lost 42 pounds on Awaken 180. I had a triple bypass in 2018. I had a hip replacement 2.5 years ago. My focus was just getting healthy and being consistent. With this plan, once you establish yourself, if I decide to cheat, I can cheat. I'm burning enough calories a day. I don't have any fear. You know, it's not really a diet. It's a lifestyle change. It changed my perspective on how to eat better and just kind of control yourself. And I hope what this does, I hope it enables somebody in their 60s that has poor health and no hope, that gives them hope. That's my goal.
Thank you so much, Brian. This is Chris Muller. Brian sharing his Awaken 180 story is the exact reason I continue to share my story with all of you. There's hope, there's a plan, and you will succeed with Awaken 180. Online at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-932-5858. That's 800-932-5858. 800-932-5858. Live from the ShoreKeyMitsubishi.com studios, North Huntington and North Hills. It's the Panther Insider Show with former Pitt quarterback Pat Bostic on Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
Welcome back to the Panthers Insider Show. It is Saturday, January 3rd, and we're ringing in the new year with the first edition of Panthers Insider for 2026. The college football playoffs underway. We had quarterfinal games. A few of them were, two of them really were kind of snooze fests, quite frankly, with Oregon dismantling Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl and Indiana just obliterating Alabama in the Rose Bowl game, the granddaddy of them all. The more compelling games, obviously, Miami, Ohio State, with the Hurricanes advancing to the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, winning against Ohio State, the reigning national champions, beating them by double digits, 24-14 win, and obviously Ole Miss in a thriller over Georgia. Pete Golding, their new head coach, taking over for Lane Kiffin, the departed Lane Kiffin, who heads to LSU, and the Rebels get a big win in advance, their second win in the playoff. They'll play Miami in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Indiana will take on the Oregon Ducks. Two blowout wins for both of those teams, a rematch from earlier in the year, with Indiana going into Eugene and getting a win. And the winners will meet in Miami Gardens for the national championship game on January 19th. Again, we've got a week until these playoff games kick off, January 8th and 9th next weekend. So you got to hold your horses a little bit and wait till next week. But it's going to be a lot of fun following the CFP. And that transitioned us into a little bit of football talk here, obviously. And I am in Cleveland, Ohio right now, so not going to be able to take any calls today. We'll resume those calls next week. I'm not in Cleveland for any business purposes. I'm here for we got a chance to go to the Cavaliers game last night against the Denver Nuggets. My third grader and his team took a trip up, got a chance to go on the court and be around that, which is pretty cool. We don't have pro basketball in Pittsburgh, but we do have college basketball, and the Panthers take on the Clemson Tigers today at noon. And just when I'm done with this show, we're going to hit the road and get down to the Peterson Event Center with a bunch of kids to sit in the Oakland Zoo and check out that game. So looking forward to that. But enough hoops. Let's talk some football. And obviously, Pitt, coming off of their bowl loss to East Carolina, is in full transfer portal season. And we're starting to see the rubber meet the road, as they say, with regard to players leaving. We know the coaching transitions that have taken place for the Panthers, with Jake Bernowski being the first to depart, taking the special teams coordinator job at Auburn. He was the tight ends coach and special teams coordinator at Pitt these last two seasons and did a terrific job working with Cade Bell on offense, but also working with the specialists and Trey Bukowski, and the return game was explosive. So Pat Narduzzi still yet to fill that void, but Randy Bates did retire. We wish him well and congratulate him on a 40-plus year career. And I know he wanted to close it out with a win in Annapolis. He was formerly a Navy lieutenant, worked at the Naval Academy at one point, but the Panthers were unable to get it done, rather, for him in that one. We wish Randy well, and we also congratulate Corey Sanders on being promoted to defensive coordinator, assistant head coach, longtime staffer for Pat Narduzzi, been a head coach before, great leadership, done a terrific job with the safety position for the Pitt Panthers, and he will do a great job manning that defense, understands Pat Narduzzi's philosophy, and they'll have to fill, obviously, a void at linebackers coach with Ryan Manilak taking his talents to be the defensive coordinator at UConn. And I think Coach Manny has done just an awesome job with the linebackers unit. Obviously, the Sharks, Kyle Lewis and Rasheem Biles, Braylon Lovelace have all been tremendous for the Pitt Panthers, and Ryan Manilak deserves a ton of credit for coaching that position up. He'll do a terrific job at UConn, working for Jason Candle, the former head coach at Toledo. So obviously some staff voids, some staff openings that need to be addressed for the Panthers at the linebacking position, obviously with the special teams coordinator job and the tight ends coach job. We'll see how that pans out. But obviously what's more important right now, and what's of the utmost importance in college football these days, is roster construction and management, and retaining and recruiting talent. And obviously there's multiple ways to do that. Pitt signed a recruiting class in early December of high school prospects, many of which will enroll early. But the transfer portal is the way to get better now. And that transfer portal officially opened yesterday on January 2nd. And it is populated, densely populated, and it's populated by Panthers as well that decided to take their talents elsewhere. We'll go through the list right now real quick of what we have record of. And obviously I wish these young men nothing but the best. This is a hard part of the game. It's one that's evolved tremendously. Certainly there are a lot of reasons to go in the portal, some of them, in my opinion, better than others. But we'd be being disingenuous if we didn't acknowledge the financial component of going in the portal and the opportunity that lies out there for players that do go into the portal. But we'll go through it. Davian Pritchard, obviously a redshirt freshman corner from Youngstown, Ohio, is in the portal. Sam Carpenter, the kickoff specialist for Pitt, for bulk of the year, kicked a little bit in games, is in the portal. David Lynch, great kid, walk-on quarterback, played in the Game Above Sports Bowl last year against Toledo, started that game. He's in the portal. Also, another quarterback, Cole Gonzalez, is going to go play somewhere. He got a little bit of an opportunity this year, but we'll take his talents to play his final year. Eli Holstein, I want to stop there because certainly his situation this year, I don't think this year panned out as anyone thought or he thought for himself, with Mason Heinschel taking the reins of this football team and this offense mid-season, early in the season rather, about a third of the way through. But I thought Eli handled it absolutely terrific. I thought he was a pro. Day in, day out, I saw him at practice, engaged. He was doing his job. He was focused. Great family, great people, and wish him nothing but the best. Sean Lee Jr., the tough one, obviously, he's expected to go in the portal per an announcement. Really good player, a third-team All-League player, third-team freshman All-American. Had a great year, the pick 6 against Stanford. Who's to say he won't come back? But when you go in the portal, you tend not to do that. Hate to see that one, obviously. Lyndon Cooper, redshirt senior captain, is going to head to the portal. Obviously, Rasheem Biles is the most notable loss to this point, given his performance in the bowl game. And obviously, a Columbus, Ohio native. I'm not speculating, but he is going to draw attention from some of the best programs in the country. And obviously, Pitt has a lot to do with that. And that's the part of this that's hard is, Rasheem was given an opportunity by Pitt to come to Pitt and display his talents. He did that. I think there's genuine gratitude for that. Certainly with Kyle Lewis going to the NFL, that's another tough loss. With Ryan Manilak heading to UConn, that's difficult. And then Rasheem Biles deciding to hit the portal creates a void at that position. But I still think that's a position that's in really good stead, that's really good stockpile of talent with Cam Lindsey and certainly Braylon Lovelace. I think Jeremiah Marcelin is going to be a stud at middle linebacker when he comes back. Jaden Bonsu got hurt preseason but made a lot of progress. Ohio State transfer, kind of a safety linebacker tweener. Davin Bruton is a young man that played a lot on special teams, and they've recruited really well at that position and have a number of players coming in. And I think, given how this defense plays, should the Panthers decide to address the position in the portal, they'll be able to attract an elite player. Perhaps not one like Rasheem Biles, but we'll see. And we wish Rasheem well. Tyree, offensive lineman. Malachi Thomas, a young, exciting tight end, is in the portal. Kenny Johnson, the Panthers' wide receiver 1, and obviously a great return man, is going to hit the portal. Jesse Anderson, played a little safety, played a little receiver. Joels Goff, a reserve running back, is going to hit the portal. And then Zion Fowlerell, another receiver, is in the portal. So that's what we know as of right now, barring any news hitting as we're discussing this at the moment. Certainly some unexpected ones. Rasheem Biles is one you don't want to lose. Sean Lee Jr. is one you don't want to lose. And Kenny Johnson's been a part of this program and played since he was a freshman. Hate to see that happen. That being said, this is a rather emotionless part of the business. And the reality is, despite emotion and how we feel about these young men, Pitt did not finish the way it wanted to this season with an 8-5 record. Pitt did not compete at the highest level the way it needed to in the biggest moments in the biggest games against Miami and Notre Dame. And I think we can identify the key areas where that needs to get better. And we also need to discuss who's not in the portal at this point. And again, a lot can happen. And the way this process works is you can go in the portal January 2nd up until that 2-week window is over. And then you can stay in the portal until you commit to go to a place. Obviously, you tend to do that before the enrollment period ends so you can get in school and get ready for spring ball. So Pitt players currently that we haven't heard about could still go in the portal for the next 2 weeks. But you tend to hear the most smoke during this couple of days after the portal opens. We've heard nothing but good things about Mason Heinschel. We've heard nothing but good things about Jakarian Turner. We've heard nothing but good things about Braylon Lovelace and Sean Fitzsimmons and Nick James. We've heard nothing but good things about Ryan Baird, the Panthers' best offensive lineman for sure. We've heard nothing but good things about Blue Hicks, who showed progress this year for sure. Some key players like Cruz Brookins on the back end, who had really good seasons, some injury shortened portions of the season, but key players like that play critical positions, the quarterback position, the safety position, certainly interior defensive line, and then the offensive line. And then as you look forward in terms of key retention, and then your developmental retention, guys that perhaps, let's just call it what it is, aren't going to cost as much but have upside. Pat Narduzzi has always elected, I think it's part of the value in Pitt's program, to try to retain and build and develop. That may lead to a Rasheem Biles-like situation at some point, but they know your defense, they know your offense, they're in the program, they understand the weight program, they're getting comfortable, they're developing a routine, and they're becoming a great player for you at Pitt. Whenever that ends, it ends. Obviously, there's more options for that to end and sooner than graduating or going to the National Football League in today's football. But as we look forward to the portal and the Panthers becoming shoppers in the portal, if you will, I think nothing has really changed with regard to the gaps on this team and where it needs to get better. And it starts up front on the offensive line. Mason Heitchel and Eli Holstein prior to him were pressured far too often this season under duress in the bowl game. Certainly Miami and Notre Dame were case in point. That position needs to be addressed. And with Lyndon Cooper in the portal, we haven't heard anything on B.J. Williams, but obviously he's been a multi-year starter on that right side, which was pretty solid for Pitt. At left side of the offensive line, and there's reports out there of Keith Govea getting another year. He could play center or guard. That left side of the offensive line, that left tackle position needs to be better for Pitt for sure in 2026. So that's where it starts. I think you at minimum got to take two guys on the offensive line, and one of them needs to be a stud at that left tackle spot for sure. With Kenny Johnson's departure, certainly the receiver position, there's opportunity there to invest heavily and get one or two targets that can separate, that can win versus man coverage, that can play against the big boys and get open. Because we saw it against, probably more talented teams. But when Pitt played up a little bit against Miami and Notre Dame, there was a lot of man coverage and there weren't a lot of open receivers. And now with the resources being deployed the way you can go out and get someone. And when you look at Indiana's of the world and Texas Tech, but Indiana in particular, with Surratt and Cooper, they have some guys that have come from different places and they're just terrific players. And shout out to Mike Shanahan for doing what he's doing with them. But the receiver position, the tight end room needs some help, and then depth at running back. I know the Panthers have brought in a couple in terms of younger players, and they had some younger players in the program this year that didn't play for whatever reason, but that's likely a position that needs some reinforcement. And so you think you're looking at 3 to 5 new pieces on offense, starting new pieces. And again, I'm spitballing here. I don't have the playbook, if you will. Certainly that's being done down at the south side. And then on defense, linebacker, I feel really good about where they're at. I want to see him get, the edge, the defensive end position. Not enough production. Jimmy Scott is a veteran player. Could see him back, obviously. He's a leader on this team. Didn't have the year he wanted to have from a production standpoint, but very solid. Jaden Moore had an up-and-down season in terms of availability due to injury. I really liked what we saw, early in the season from Pitt in terms of, what they had from some of their young players, like Zach Carruthers, who's a guy that I think was on his way to an unbelievable season before hurting his knee. But Carruthers is a guy, man, that I think could be a really good football player for Pitt. So you start to look at Scott, Carruthers, Jaden Moore, maybe one there. And then D tackle, look at this group. This group of guys at D tackle, it's deep. Nick James, Sean Fitzsimmons, Obviously, you've got Bread in Jashir Whittington. You've got Isaiah Neal. You got Francis Brew. That's a deep group, but I think those edges need to be more productive so Pitt doesn't have to blitz as much. And by the way, love Braylon Lovelace, but you don't have Biles and Lewis coming off the edge. Safety spot, probably need one more. And then corner with obviously the departure of Sean Lee. But again, if you're a good corner out there, if you're a Tavon Lenham type player, and you want to come somewhere and prove yourself, certainly Pitt can be the place for you to do that, where you're going to play a lot of man-type coverage. So, yes, to summarize, are you frustrated with some of the departures? Yeah. As time goes on, you get more used to it, as I hate to say it. But obviously, college football, major college football is a business, and we all enjoy the games on Saturdays and want to win. And this is part of that process now. It is navigating that landscape, putting the proper group of players together, talent together that fit, but also address needs. And again, the bowl game, who has decided to leave so far, in my mind, doesn't change the plan totally in terms of what needs to be done for this roster to take another step in 2026. So looking forward to watching that process play out. I'm sure there'll be twists and turns along the way, and we'll keep you abreast here on Panthers Insider of how that goes. We'll wrap up the show next. Little Pitt Hoops against Clemson today at noon, and obviously get you ready for the portal, the college football playoff, and much, much more on Panthers Insider on Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan. Boney and Muller think they know football until they talk to Aditi Kikawala every Wednesday at 4:15. You see Aditi each week reporting on the sidelines. Tune in as she tells us what she saw and talks about everything going on across the league. Aditi is brought to you by Tri-State Office Furniture, Cedarbrook Golf Course, Hampton Beer Outlet, and Window Nation. Now, Fan Headlines, powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville.
Logan Arblaster with your Fan Headlines. The AFC North title is on the line on Sunday Night Football. The Steelers host the Ravens at Acrisure Stadium. It's the first time in the all-time series between the rivals that the regular season finale will decide the division winner. Kickoff on Sunday night is at 8:25. Headlines are powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville. More at 937thefan.com.
Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 9 as the Pittsburgh kid Neil Walker joins the Fan Morning Show. Tune in or listen on the Odyssey app as Neil gives you the latest on our Pirates. The Neil Walker Show brought to you by Mike Hamlin Hyundai, Goodrich & Guys, Pittsburgh's personal injury attorneys, and Bet365 on Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
Got plumbing problems? Call the pros who've been going down the drain since 1969. A quick drain service. Serving the entire tri-state area, they offer expert plumbing, sewer and drain cleaning, plus DOT certified gas, water, and sewer line installation. Senior and military discounts available. And get a lifetime guarantee on all sewer and water lines. Need help now? They're available 24/7 at aquickdrain.com. PA license 074216. A quick drain service. Fast, reliable, done right.
If you're struggling with weight and frustrated with dieting each and every year, Mark Patrick Hypnosis can help. Join the over 500,000 people who have attended Mark Patrick Hypnosis with great weight loss results. Mark Patrick Hypnosis will be in Pittsburgh on Sunday, January 11th.
After this hypnosis, I want to eat good food.
Since August, I can honestly say I have not had one potato chip.
It was life-changing for me.
And I don't think about desserts like I used to.
Bridget, how much have you lost now?
I lost a total of 83 pounds.
Holy cow.
It's easy, it's fun, very relaxing, and very successful.
And I would just say go for it.
Only $59.99. Lose all the weight you want. Sunday, January 11th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, Pittsburgh, Weston Green Tree. Weight loss hypnosis, 11 a.m. Registration, 10:30 a.m. Attend this program and find out how the power of hypnosis can help you achieve your weight loss goals. There's limited seating, so get there early. Learn more at markpatrickseminars.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. $5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code STATION25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code STATION25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code STATION25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Officer? Could I get your perspective as a man of the law?
You know I'm a mall cop, right?
You see this Hyundai Santa Fe? I only paid for it.
Whoa.
Right? I'm not in trouble, am I?
Deal's so right, it almost feels wrong. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Get 0% APR for 60 months, plus 0 payments for 90 days on all Hyundai Tucson, Tucson Hybrid, Santa Fe, or Santa Fe Hybrid models. Now, during the final days of the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Hurry, offers end January 5th. Call 562-314-4603 for details.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Text us on the Edgar Snyder and Associates text line at 412-928-9370. Edgar Snyder and Associates reminds you to text responsibly. Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan, built by Window Nation, home of the buy two get two free offer.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Kohl's new clearance markdowns are intense. Up to 70% off is the kind of deal that'll leave you feeling stunned and make you whisper things like, "Where have you been my whole life?" to a cardigan. Just take a deep breath, steady your cart, and try to act normal. But it's not possible. The savings are just too good. Shop new clearance markdowns now, in-store and online at Kohl's. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
You've probably seen it on local real estate shows or in the classifieds. A home is for sale, and the listing boasts about having a petite bathroom or a petite kitchen. Hi, this is Barry and Steve Ehrenrich.
It's gratifying and most humbling to know that long ago the Petite brand became a status symbol in Western Pennsylvania. Whether you prefer a traditional or very contemporary design, upgrading your kitchen or bathroom the Petite way adds value and makes your home more desirable.
For over 50 years, we've helped thousands of satisfied customers make their kitchen or bathroom dreams come true. We invite you to visit our showroom at Petite Kitchen and Bath Design Center, or call us at 412-279-2222.
You'll see great ways to create the kitchen or bathroom that fits your taste, your lifestyle, and your pocketbook.
Haven't you waited long enough?
PA 625.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking, only $59.99. Sunday, January 11th, the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, Pittsburgh West and Green Tree. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Let's return to the Panthers Insider Show with former Pitt quarterback Pat Bostic on Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
Wrapping things up, final segment of Panthers Insider, first show of 2026, and a lot of portal talk. I know it's not everyone's favorite topic, but it is a huge topic at this time of year for the Pitt football program. Going to be a lot of coming and going. That's the way it is. Obviously, we wish everyone that's departing the program well. We look forward to seeing who's going to add to this thing, because I do look at 2025 as a step forward for Pitt football, and I know not everyone feels that way with the bowl game and the losses. College game day in town, opportunities against Notre Dame and Miami to really make some noise. But to do that with a freshman quarterback, find your quarterback of the future in the process, go on a 5-game winning streak, beat Georgia Tech the way you did on the road, and be able to carry some of those pieces into the coming season. Most importantly, Mason Heinchel, that's an exciting proposition. And when you factor in some of the other key returnees we discussed last segment, Turner, Brookins, Lovelace, B.J. Williams, Ryan Baer, Blue Hicks, I could go on of pieces that could be back and then added to and supplemented by portal additions. I think the foundation for Pitt football is good right now, and it just needs to be fortified. And I think both lines are where it starts, because that's where, frankly, it kind of ended against Miami and Notre Dame. We're going to transition a little bit of Pitt hoops talk as we kind of wrap things up with about 5 or so minutes left in today's show. Pitt basketball taking on Clemson today at the Peterson Event Center at noon. Look forward to being there for what should be a really good basketball game. Clemson 11-3, top of the ACC right now. They're 1-0 in ACC play, having beaten Syracuse earlier this week. Brad Brownell's team, always really good. Take a look at that roster and the production on this team. It kind of starts. It's pretty spread. They don't have one scorer averaging the majority of the points. Godfrey, Porter, Welling, and Hunter all averaging over 9 points a game. Godfrey, a post player, 11 points a game, 5 rebounds a game. Also excellent, assist to turnover ratio is solid for that position. But this is a team that's balanced. They always defend hard. They play the game the right way, and Pitt will have to play well to beat them. And when it comes to this Pitt basketball team and program, the frustration that mounted over the course of the non-conference schedule obviously is understandable, given the games you should have won. You could be sitting right here at 9-5 if you beat Quinnipiac and Hofstra. That did not happen. Been a lot of growing pains with this team. What I want to see from my New Year's resolution for Pitt Hoops in 26, this particular season, is to just get better and improve. That's not something that last year's team did. You want to see this year's team do it, particularly when you have the young players playing significant roles like an Omari Witherspoon, like a Roman Cialepa, like a Brandon Cummings. Obviously, Noya Sindersitis. Obviously, Barry Dunning could possibly play another year. And when you combine that, if they improve over the course of the season, there will be challenges along the way. And you add a top 10 recruiting class to it with Chase Foster, Falesi, and Jamal Jones, you have then a pretty good nucleus of talent that you could retain and add to for next season. And we're not looking at next season left. There's a lot that can happen this season, this regular season. But it's been a while since you had young pieces, and I don't think any of these guys are bona fide NBA prospects right now, in Witherspoon and Cialepa for sure, that could be coming back and really take charge of this thing. So that'll be fun to watch, and I like what I've seen the past few games, Binghamton, Penn State. The majority of the Miami game, the zone messed them up a little bit, certainly, but this is a team that I think will get better, improve. They'll play hard. They'll play the right way. I love what DeMarco Minor brings to this team, and I encourage you to go support them, because obviously we know what Pitt basketball can be and mean, and they haven't lived up to their end of the billing this year. I think Jeff Capel's admitted that, but a lot of ACC opportunities starting today with a home game against Clemson that they can turn some wrongs into a right in 2026. And I hope your new year is promising. I hope you're optimistic about it. A lot to look forward to on the Pitt front as we move forward. A lot to work through as well with the transfer portal upon us. But the good news is this: it's another year. It's a fresh start, and we got a lot to look forward to in this coming year that I think will be exciting. Most notably being together as Panther Nation and supporting this program, which obviously is a proud program from top to bottom, and one that needs to continue to factor at a high level on the college landscape, an ever-changing landscape at that. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. We covered a lot of ground. Looking forward to seeing everyone at the Pete here in just a few hours for tip-off between Pitt and Clemson. Bill Hillgrove, Curtis Aiken on the call. And we'll talk to you next week, Panthers Insider, on Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan As always, hail to Pitt.
Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan. The Fan is bringing out the big boys for the Fan Game Day. Donnie Football, Mark Capelli, and Jason Mackey host the Enhanced Fan Game Day. The biggest personalities, the hardest working hosts, bringing you all the coverage before the game. The Fan Game Day is brought to you by Rivers Casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Westminster College, Verizon, official 5G provider of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Schley Deck and Fence, and Saloni's Italian Bread. The Fan Game Day on Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
Fan weather is brought to you by Myers Law Group, Pittsburgh's choice for affordable legal solutions. Temperatures in the 20s for today and tomorrow. Temperatures, though, climbing up during the work week, upwards of nearly 60 on Friday.
Your hometown building partner since 1956, 84 Lumber. Visit 84lumber.com.
Do you have experience working on Class 8 heavy-duty trucks? Consider a career with PGT Trucking Maintenance. PGT is now hiring experienced diesel mechanics in Midland and Blairsville, PA. Support the fleet by helping to maintain PGT's late-model equipment, including International and Peterbilt tractors. Technicians should be able to complete a preventative maintenance inspection. Experience in the trucking industry is preferred. Call 1-800-TEAM-PGT or apply online at pgttrucking.com/work. Voss TV and Appliance is my game plan for quality appliance and exceptional service. Pat Bostic here for my friends at Voss TV and Appliance, a trusted third-generation family-owned business. Voss carries many big-name television and appliance brands and provides helpful and honest guidance on product selection. Voss also has the best prices and most reliable service in the area. Get Voss TV and Appliance on your team today. Call 412-650-VOSS. That's 412-650-VOSS or visit VossTV.com.
Hi, this is Bill Hillgrove. Life moves fast, but planning ahead doesn't have to be complicated.
Exactly, Bill. That's why NSS Life offers affordable life insurance and reliable annuities you can count on.
It's the peace of mind you've been looking for.
Because you're not just planning for tomorrow, you're building a future that lasts a lifetime.
NSS Life. Secure today, confident tomorrow.
NSS Life, where family matters.
Here's Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan's Fan About Town. If you're over 60 and looking for a weight loss program built specifically for you, Awaken 180 is your solution with Awaken 180 Golden, a new 1 to 3 month program for fast weight loss tailored to those over 60. Online at awaken180weightloss.com. Stop down to Rivers Casino for all black and gold home games. While you're there, stop in their sports book to see live sports action and enjoy some food and drinks to get you ready for the game. Looking for an incredible Pittsburgh fresh-made hoagie? Visit Tim's Corner Market in Beachview. Fresh house-made bread stacked high with the finest meats and premium toppings and packed with Pittsburgh flavor. The hoagie you didn't know you needed at Tim's Corner Market on Broadway Avenue in Beachview. For more information, visit 937thefan.com.
We're gonna be so late for the concert at Point State Park. We should be there by now.
I just need to stop for gas real quick. I know a cheap place down Liberty Avenue.
Are you serious? We're gonna miss the show because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is great. It's a free app that gets you cash back when you buy gas.
Wait, you mean I can get money back just for buying gas?
Yup, and it really works. I've actually made around $200 this year already. Now pull over so you can download Upside before we miss the concert.
Pulling over? You had me at $200.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you buy gas in the Steel City. Use promo code PITT to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. Get the Upside app and use promo code PITT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PITT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband Ryan died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Pros don't just show up. They prove how it's done. With precision and without shortcuts. Makita tools are built the same way, with a dedication to lasting quality, trusted performance, and results that reward your effort year after year. When the job calls for the best, call on Makita. Built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
I'm Omar Reese with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Steelers will have star linebacker T.J. Watt for their matchup with the Ravens. Watt practiced fully on Friday after missing the last 3 games and has no injury designation for Sunday night. The winner of this game will clinch their spot in the postseason as the AFC North champion, while the loser season is over. Elsewhere, Rams head coach Sean McVay saying he'll still play his starters on Sunday regardless of what happens tonight between the Seahawks and 49ers. The Rams will be locked into the 6th seed if San Francisco wins. Plus, Browns superstar Myles Garrett is going for history. He currently has 22 sacks and needs one more to set the new single-season sack record. The Browns face Joe Burrow and the Bengals on Sunday. And the Raiders will be without quarterback Geno Smith on Sunday. He was officially ruled out with an ankle injury. Vegas will secure the first overall pick in the draft with a loss to the Chiefs. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Want to make 2026 your year of adventure? Book that trip and learn a new language with Babbel. Go ahead, make a resolution you can stick to. Now is the time. Babbel's New Year sale is here. Unlock all of the languages on Babbel with a lifetime subscription for 65% off. Turn your daydream into a destination this year with Babbel. Get Babbel's lifetime access for less at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Pony and Muller here. Mike and Mike's Beer Bar is a big fan of us. In fact, he gave us our own beer. Okay, well, kind of. Each month, Mike picks a local beer that we call the Fan Beer of the Month. December's Fan Beer of the Month is Grist House's Hazadelic Juice Grenade. And the charity of the month is the American Cancer Society. Your purchase helps fuel critical research, advocacy, and patient support.
And if you don't like the Fan Beer of the Month, Mike has 4 other beers on tap that you can select, and he will make a donation to the charity. Check out the Fan Beer of the Month at Mike's Beer Bar.
Meet me at Mike's.
HD1 Pittsburgh, an Odyssey Sports Station. Live from the Jim Shorkey Mitsubishi.com studios, North Huntington and North Hills. Always live and free on the Odyssey app. Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan. Get the latest on Pittsburgh sports from anywhere with the Odyssey app. Listen to shows and Pirate Games live. Check out our exclusive interviews and content anytime. Download the Odyssey app now and never miss a minute. Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan. Now, fan headlines powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville.
All right, Joel Nelson for Fan Headlines. Pitt basketball this afternoon is in action against Clemson. Tip-off is set for noon from the Peterson Event Center and right here on the Fan with pregame coverage beginning at 11:30. Catch it all on the free Odyssey app as well. Penguins have a rematch with Detroit also at noon today after a 4-3 overtime victory from Thursday night. More headlines at 937thefan.com, and now it's a Saturday morning with Jim Colony.
If it matters in Pittsburgh sports, we're talking about it. Even on the weekend. That's cool. Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan, Pittsburgh's hometown sports station.
All right, so there's Joel, and I was going to say it's thee and me, to use a Cookism, but now I'm just kind of unlocking all the technological marvels that we have available to us. And I may as well, since I'm thinking about it, the Fan text line. All right, it's brought to you by Edgar Snyder and Associates, a personal injury law firm. Well, they always say there's never a fee unless we get money for you. And the Fan text line, of course, is 412-928-9370, 9370. Get it? That's us. So I'm looking at stuff that came in like overnight. And There's just, I don't know. People text in when we're not on the air. I mean, we're on the air, but it's not us. Right? I don't even know what's on the air. Did you do Joel, did you do like a pre show on Saturday, like at 5 a.m. or something?
Not me.
Okay. So somebody there's there a Westwood One or whatever the national thing is now? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Josh Graham.
Oh, okay, Josh Graham. All right. Well, I have no idea who that is, but he doesn't know who I am either, so that's fine. But so people text in to our station, maybe thinking that if they use the fan text line to text us, you're getting a hold of whoever is on our air at that time. But that's not necessarily the case, at least overnight. But other times it is, like right now. And that's why Edgar Snyder and Associates, that's why they endorse our text line, because it's just so popular. But the one thing that got your attention, Joel, is that, and we're going to get into sports here. I'm Jim Colony, retired sort of, kind of, but it's cold. There's no golf course work, so here I am. Derrick Henry's birthday is tomorrow, which is another reason why the NFL would have been so much nicer if the NFL had decided to put this winner-take-all game on today, like this afternoon at 4:25. That's what I was hoping for. But you knew, and Jeff and I, well, no, or I guess I didn't talk about it to anybody because I wasn't on the air directly before the last Steeler game. But it's just, you knew the Steelers were going to be on Sunday night, quite honestly. As soon as Baltimore had beaten Green Bay, and as soon as the Steelers did whatever you want to call what they did in Cleveland, you knew that the Steelers and Ravens were going to be the Sunday night game. And sure enough, here it is. And it turns out that it's Derrick Henry's birthday. So maybe Ravens coach John Harbaugh won't overthink himself and just go to the old, like, peewee football thing. Hey, it's his birthday, so let's get him some touches. So even if Derrick Henry fumbles early, maybe even if T.J. Watt, and he will play, if T.J. Watt makes a tackle behind the line of scrimmage in the game early, and it looks like Derrick Henry's off to a slow start after a couple of series, that Harbaugh will continue to allow his offensive coordinator to just feed the ball to Derrick Henry because of what happened a year ago in the playoffs when the Steelers could not stop the Ravens from running the football. Now, one of the things I did talk about with Jeff Hathorn when we hosted the New Year's Eve extravaganza early in the morning is that maybe, now I just lost my train of thought because I was talking about the New Year's Eve extravaganza on the Fan Morning Show. But that they'll just, it just makes too much sense to hand the ball to the guy who's going to run the ball all over your team because he did it a year ago, and he does it not with regularity because there are games when he didn't do it, like earlier this season, although they still ran for a decent amount. But anyway, they're going to overthink it now that Lamar Jackson is playing because you got to make sure Lamar gets his. I don't know. But one of the things I did talk about with Jeff is that a couple of times earlier this season, when it appeared that the Steelers' defense was set up for a complete failure, which was after they'd been torched by Joe Flacco and Jordan Love and had given up, I think, a combined 70 points against the Bengals and the Packers. And then here come the Indianapolis Colts, who at the time I think they were tied for the best record in the AFC at that time. It was about 2 months into the season. And Daniel Jones was playing pretty well. Everybody said, whoa, wow, Daniel Jones is actually pretty good. Oh, and Jonathan Taylor might eclipse Eric Dickerson's record. Well, that didn't happen. I mean, that certainly didn't happen, didn't come close. And the Steelers were able to shut him down. And then, actually, the last time that I was on the air here on a Saturday morning was the day before the Steelers played in Detroit. And again, using the same logic, and Detroit, not in the playoffs, which is crazy, with the offense that they have and the skill that they have. But one of the reasons they're not in the playoffs is because the Steelers were able to shut down, at least for 3 quarters, Gibbs and Montgomery. the most prolific running back, the best running back duo in the NFL with both of those guys. Either one of those guys is an RB1, right? For you fantasy football people, you want an RB1. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Either one of those guys is going to help you, even though they're on the same team. And you thought, man, they got both of those guys. But here might be the difference, is that both Daniel Jones and Jared Goff, they're not going to beat you running. And so if you're a defense, you don't have to worry about the quarterback running with the ball in those two instances. Now, even if Snoop Huntley is your quarterback in Baltimore, you do have to worry about him running the ball to some degree. Certainly with Lamar Jackson you do. And yet there's the factor that you come back to historically, Lamar Jackson has had trouble in the past against the Steelers at least half the time. So basically I'm talking about John Harbaugh not overthinking things for the game on Sunday night. Just ride Derrick Henry as long as you can. If the Steelers stop him, then maybe figure out a plan B and have a plan B in your pocket. But just go in there with the idea that the Steelers are not going to be able to stop Derrick Henry. And the chances are pretty good that they won't, based on what we've seen off and on this season. But there's the off and on part. So it just, hey, look, it's a winner-take-all game on Sunday night. But here's where I want to come around here. And I do want to hear from you folks. I know that a lot of people don't phone in, and there are tons of people that have texted right now, and I will respond to text messages at 412-928-9370. But please call us, because there are all sorts of things going on here heading into tomorrow night. Because this is Steeler fan heaven here. You've got the most hated rival. You've got a home playoff game in essence, because it is a playoff game. If you advance, you get to the playoffs. If you lose, you're out of the playoffs. But this should be a crazy crowd, everybody going nuts, because the Steelers can beat the Ravens, because they do at least once a year. And this is a chance to get your team into the playoffs. But I get the feeling that there's an underlying sense of, well, what's the use? We're going to get to the playoffs, and unless they play Houston, where it would be a really low, you would think anyway, it would be a low-scoring game. But if they play the Chargers, they play the Bills, even though they have home field, we saw what Buffalo did here earlier this season, and we'll get into the Fire Tomlin stuff throughout the show as well, is that they're going to lose anyway. They won't be able to stop the Chargers. They won't be able to stop the Bills. They won't be able to score against the Texans, although DK Metcalf would be back for a playoff game. So I think it just seems to me, from what I get from just talking to some friends of mine and so forth, overhearing people talk at the gym, eavesdropping at the gym is kind of a weird thing to do, but I do it when I hear people talking about the Steelers, just to kind of get a pulse for, what's going on. It just seems to me that people have what's the use? Because it's not going to do any good, because even if they get there, it's not going to be good. Unless they actually win a game, and then they advance to the next round, and then they're going to play the number one seed in the AFC, which could be Denver, with another team that, hey, their defense is really good, their offense is inconsistent, they've got a relatively inexperienced quarterback. They're beatable, even in Denver. You can talk yourself into that, but I don't get the sense that there are many people here in Pittsburgh that have any confidence that the Steelers could get to that point. But this is what we want. You want the thing about the Steelers, and look, I'm sick of it as well. The standard is the standard, and we know what the standard is. The standard is 9-8. Of course, if they go 9-8, that means they won't make the playoffs. But 10-7, 9-8. They're just over 500, fair to Midland, not bad, not good, just right in the middle, a middle round draft pick, that kind of stuff, or middle of the round draft pick. I mean, you guys know the drill. It's been going on forever, and we're just sick of seeing the same old thing over and over and over again. And I don't. know how they can break. Well, I know how they can break out of it because I just kind of outlined a scenario where that would happen. But in terms of the local populace being confident that that's going to happen, I'm just not sensing it. And so I'm wondering from you folks, and you can call, or if you don't want to call, you can text, which everybody else is. If you've got tickets, this is a game you don't sell your ticket. But in this instance, would you sell your ticket? It's going to be really cold. And if you've got that attitude, they're not going to win anyway. What good is it? I can make some money on this. I can get my season ticket money back. If you think you can make a little bit of money or recoup a little bit of money by selling your ticket, maybe you'll do that. But is there a market for people wanting to buy into this game? And then the other part of it is if you are going, presumably if you're going to the game, the chances are really good that you were also at the Buffalo game. And that you were also in the crowd when you booed Renegade, you chanted Fire Tomlin, where everything turned ugly. But then the Steelers won 3 games in a row, and so everybody sort of forgot about that until last week when they lost at Cleveland to a rookie quarterback who threw up 2 of the most lollipop passes. Linebacker drops a pick 6. They don't give the ball to the right people at the right times. It was just a disaster. So anyway, I just think there's and maybe it's me, because I'm always, I see stuff happening and look, there's an expression, right, where if somebody's a glass half empty guy, or if you're glass is half full. All right, well, here's the difference between the glass that's half, whatever it is, okay? If you start out with a full glass and it's emptying, that's where a glass is half empty. You start out expecting not much of anything, where the glass is half full as it fills up, as it gets better. So that's there is a difference between if you've got a glass that is half filled and half unfilled, there is a difference in how you get to that point. So that's why I've always thought we're a glass half empty. I'm basically accused my lovely wife, who hasn't dumped me yet and probably won't because she's kind of stuck with me, but that I'm too pessimistic. I always see, and I guess I do, when I see stuff happening. For example, I'm watching the game in Cleveland last week, and I can't remember at which point I shouted. I said they're going to lose. Now I had also said the same thing in Detroit during the Detroit game, where things started to go badly, and I was like, they're going to lose. And they could have, they should have. None of those. The only questionable pass interference call, I thought, in that game against Detroit, I haven't been on the air since then, by myself anyway, I thought the call against Darnell Washington, where a little dude ran into him and fell down. Darnell Washington didn't do anything differently than a lot of other smaller wide receivers do when they run crossing patterns. Or, wait, here's my favorite, a rub route. You want a rub route, which really sounds kind of bad. But so, I mean, teams use picks all the time. But as long as the receiver is running, but I thought that was a kind of a questionable call where the big guy got penalized because he was a lot bigger than the other guy. But again, maybe I'm watching it from a Pittsburgh perspective. And I also had the receiver who would have caught the touchdown on my fantasy football team. But anyway, the pass interference calls against the Lions, I thought, I almost said the Red Wings, but goodness knows there were no penalties called against Detroit recently when they played a Pittsburgh team. But Penguins won the game anyway. But I didn't think, certainly the one at the end of the game. Our buddy Vinny, remember Vinny used to work with Cook, Vinny and Cook, when Vinny came from Seattle. And Vinny used to complain all the time about the Darrell Jackson pass interference call in the Super Bowl. That was pass interference. He pushed off. That was a legitimate call. And so was the call. So was the call against the Lions at the end of that game. But then the other part of it is after he caught the ball and was being pushed backwards, why they let that play continue for as long as they did, I didn't understand it. Forward progress was stopped. He was getting pushed backwards. You blow the play dead. Well, they didn't. He lateraled the ball. They would have scored. The referee said it's a touchdown. But then he said, no, it wasn't because it was offensive interference and the game is over. Whatever. You all remember that stuff. But and speaking of officiating, yes, MVS was interfered with on the final play at Cleveland. And no, Aaron Rodgers should not have tried to throw the ball to him 3 straight effing times. Just shouldn't have done it. But he did because he is tall. But, pass was slightly underthrown. Denzel Ward. Okay, here's another thing that I think is taken into account on pass interference. Okay, you've got Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Okay, you've got MVS. And then you've got Denzel Ward. Right, this is like the old basketball reputation kind of stuff. Okay, who's a better player? Denzel Ward or MVS? All right, even if you're related to MVS, the answer is Denzel Ward. So who gets the benefit of the doubt when there's a questionable call, and maybe it wasn't that questionable? Who gets the benefit of the doubt? Not MVS. It's the better player. And, maybe there's something to be said for that. It's you see the same thing in baseball. Or a guy like Greg Maddux, and this is a somewhat archaic reference, but you get a guy like Greg Maddux who works the outside corner of the plate, and then it kind of gets a little bit more outside. And good for him for having the pinpoint control that he had. But it gets a little bit more outside. And before you know it, he's throwing pitches 2 to 3 inches outside the plate, and he's getting the calls because, well, he's Greg Maddux, and he was getting the calls, and whoever the batter is, with very few exceptions, doesn't have the reputation that Greg Maddux does. So who gets the call? The better player. It happens in all sports. But anyway, so, man, I bitched and moaned about a lot of stuff. Okay, somebody on the text line, is Bob Smizek on today? Well, the answer is of course Bob Smizek's on. I haven't done this show in about 3 weeks. So, and Happy New Year, by the way. Joel, how was your New Year's Eve? Are you a New Year's Eve guy?
I'd say so. Like, I'll at least stay up till midnight and such. And then like go to bed afterward, just hung out with a buddy, pretty much. How about you?
I went to bed at 9. But also, don't forget that I had been up since, like 4 in the morning because Jeff and I did
the
morning show
that's a marathon
on New Year's Eve.
Of, 4 a.m. to midnight? It's like, 20 hours? Yeah, so that's...
Well, but that's kind of what I do anyway. And I am going to do that tomorrow night, too, by the way. I'll go up and I'll avoid the game. I'll record it, and then I'll probably wake up. I usually wake up around 5:30 anyway, so because I go to bed at 9, whatever. So I'll get up and watch the game early on Monday morning, and then I'll be able to watch it in like an hour and a half, that is so much fun, being able to watch a game like that and just fast forward through the stuff that you don't want to deal with, like halftime commercials and then.
Just get it all out of the way, I guess.
Yeah, an injury. And but then you get spoiled when you actually watch a game in real time and you reach for the remote to try to fast forward when it gets to between the third and fourth quarters in Cleveland. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. The game is...
I got to keep sitting through this nightmare.
The game is still going on. I used to be a big New Year's Eve guy when I was younger, like a lot younger. And I think my mom was the first baby born in Keene, New Hampshire in 1925. So she was a New Year's Day baby, and it was always, even after we'd moved out of the house, Mom's, it's her birthday on New Year's Day. So, of course, you got to be up for midnight for Mom's birthday, and then we'd have parties. And so I'd call and probably wake her up, once she got older, not having an appreciation for what it's like to get older until you get older. But anyway, and somebody said, not excited. This is on the text line brought to you by Edgar Snyder and Associates, 412-928-9370. Not excited. Shut your mouth about it then. This is one hell of an exciting game, and y'all are bawling. You sound like a Baltimorean. Well, here's the funny thing. I don't think that a lot of Baltimoreans are really excited about this game either. I think that there's a portion of Baltimore fandom that wants the Ravens to lose because they're sick of John Harbaugh. And the Ravens are more likely to make a change if that happens than the Steelers are if the Ravens win the game and Mike Tomlin's here, and there's more likely to be a change in Baltimore. And that's another question for you guys, is that are there people that want the Steelers to lose? The same way that Penguins fans wanted the team to lose. Oh, yeah, you want to tank for McKenna. And now the Penguins actually drafted a guy last year who has now I know, I understand there's a talent and everything else, but But Will Horkoff didn't do much in the World Juniors, but they've got a guy in the Penguins system now because he was drafted at the end of the first round last year, who's one of the leading scorers in Division I, and he's way ahead of Gavin McKenna. But anyway, but then the Steelers started to win at the beginning of the season. And so, well, it's too late to tank for a quarterback. But do you really want to tank for a quarterback now anyway? Fernando Mendoza, hey, he lost to Pitt 2 years ago when he was with California. So, but, quarterbacks grow, quarterbacks regress. It's just, I don't know. I kind of don't know what to think. But, yeah, I am a Baltimorean. That's me. But, all right, coming up in a little bit, we will get Mr. Smizik on the line. I'm Jim Colony. Dan Kingerski is going to join us as well. I mentioned the Penguins. That was quite a game yesterday. And, or was it not yesterday, the other day, Friday or Thursday? No, it was New Year's Day against they played, right? I'm all confused. But it was New Year's night that they played, and it was just a funny game where you would have thought home ice. It was the other way around, where the penalties were getting called on a lopsided fashion. And hilarity ensued, and the Penguins, should have won it. Then they got a goal down. Then it was a topsy-turvy game. It was crazy, but the Penguins ended up taking 2 points. It would have been great if they didn't give up one to a conference rival. But you know what? Hey, they ended up taking 2 points. At any rate, the Penguins are not tanking now, though. I don't know how many teams they actually are on the periphery of playoff position, and yet at the same time, they're kind of not that far away from being at the bottom of the Eastern Conference either. It's a jumbled, it's a parity-filled league right now where teams like Buffalo can't lose. In Buffalo, you always used to be able to count on Buffalo being at the bottom of the conference. But anyway, all right, so Dan Kingerski's in Detroit, and where they have a noontime face-off today against the Red Wing. And so we'll get Dan on the line coming up in about an hour, about 10:30 or so. Talk about all things Penguins. Bob Smizek's coming up next. We'll talk about the Steelers. And I do want to get into any kind of negativity about the Steelers. I'm going to go over some of these texts that have come in at 412-928-9370. I will answer some, if not all of those here in the next couple of minutes. And then we'll get Mr. Smizek coming up next. And we'll talk a lot of Pirate baseball because, somebody's talking about me being pessimistic. Is it actually okay to feel good about the Pirates and what they're doing? It's counterintuitive as to what's happened over the last 10 years or so. I'm Jim Colony. This is 93.7 The Fan.
Now, Fan Headlines, powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville.
At noon today, Penguins back in action. They'll take on Detroit, being played in the Motor City. Also today at noon, Pitt basketball takes on Clemson from the Peterson Event Center right here on the Fan and on the free Odyssey app, with coverage beginning at 11:30. Later today, NFL on Westwood 1 doubleheader. The Panthers are at the Buccaneers at 4:30. Seahawks visit the 49ers later tonight at 8:15, and both games right here on the Fan and on the free Odyssey app as well. Fan Headlines are powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville. For more, go to 937thefan.com.
PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865.
Legendary doesn't happen by chance. It happens because it's what BetMGM does. Sign up for BetMGM and check out all the exciting new ways you can make this pro football season unforgettable. Shoot your shot with same-game parlays. Call your plays like a pro with live betting, or bet on a market you didn't know existed thanks to BetMGM Originals. You'll be on the edge of your seat from the very first snap, no matter what type of fan you are. Earn BetMGM rewards points on every bet. Take advantage of football offers found nowhere else, like a second chance on a first touchdown bet. And keep an eye out for rewards dropping in your account throughout the season. Never settle for the ordinary. Sign up today. BetMGM. Make it legendary. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus to wager. Pennsylvania only. Subject to eligibility requirements. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left
left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds, and I lost 43 in 8 weeks. It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day, and nothing worked until Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food, crazy. Enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick Hypnosis really works? It's amazing. I can breathe again, my blood pressure went down, and I've got so much energy. So much energy. And look great.
Stop smoking, lose weight now without cravings, irritability, or your money back. Only $59.99. Join Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar and lose the weight. Stop smoking, feel great for only $59.99. Sunday, January 11th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, Pittsburgh West and Green Tree. Weight loss hypnosis, 11 a.m. Registration, 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis, 2 p.m. Learn more at markpatrickseminars.com.
Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who will give it to you straight. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. This holiday season through January 4th, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use this direct.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-352-9239. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-352-9239. 800-352-9239 or biglou.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-932-5858. That's 800-932-5858. 800-932-5858.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to start strong, so you can give everything you've got. From plate-loaded strength equipment and functional training areas to treadmills, stair climbers, and free weights. Our equipment is best in class, and our clubs are right around the corner, so you can make this your strongest year yet. Join the club today and save $28 or more when you join for $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, January 9th. Are you coming? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
I'm Piera Palazzolo,
VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WEB-NOW1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Live from the ShoreKeyMitsubishy.com studios, North Huntington and North Hills.
All right, I was just answering some of the text messages. We're also on YouTube. Hey there. So people can comment on the YouTube channel, which is now up on weekends. So, and I did I've got like something on the end of my nose. So, I'm trying to make it look like I'm not picking my nose, but, there's something there and you just kind of have to swipe it. And it's not a booger. It's just like an itch. At any rate, somebody said I was whining like Eeyore. The text line? Come on. I don't think I was whining like Eeyore. I think I'm just pointing some stuff out. All right, let's before we get to Bob Smizik, I told him 9:35, so I don't want to get Bob, on early. So I don't. Can we get Ray in the car? Let's take a couple phone calls. Ray, what's up, man?
This game reminds me of various times when the Penguins would be up 3-2 against a superior opponent, and you're thinking, okay, we got a game that we can win and wrap this up, and then we lose both, and it's a disaster. That's my mindset. Last week was the week. You don't let as these people are calling them, the Baltimore morons, you don't let them have life. And we have all season let them have life.
Are you going to the game?
No. If I was, I'd probably be ready to be the fire Tomlin and boo. I begged last week to Paul Alexander to talk to Tomlin or have Dan Rooney, the younger one, that's the next successor, to beg the love of God for Art to ask Mike to resign so he don't have to fire him.
All right, Ray, thanks a lot for the call. I'm sure Paul could get that. If anybody could get that done, it would be Paul. I'm not sure too many people could get that done, but if anybody could get it done, it would be Paul. Let's go to Donovan.
Hey, thank you for getting me on the air. I just wanted to say, I don't understand why everyone wanted us to tank to get a quarterback when we already have a quarterback, because we haven't even really given a shot yet. I understand we wanted him to learn under Rodgers, but everyone's saying, we need another quarterback. We need another quarterback. We drafted one last season, and we haven't even seen what he can do yet, nor even given him a chance, and I think that's just wrong.
Well, when is Will Howard going to get a chance? He got hurt, and so there's no time to give him a chance. The time where he would have gotten a chance would have been tonight, where you would have had Mason Rudolph if the Steelers had done what they should have done, and thanks for the call, Donovan. I almost called him like the hurdy-gurdy man, but that's like once again an older reference from Donovan from back in the 60s, and who also sang about the lost continent of Atlantis, which was a very poignant tune from the late 60s. But in terms of Will Howard, see, you beat Cleveland. This game doesn't mean anything. And then Mason Rudolph plays the first half, and then Will Howard plays the second half. Against what opposition, I don't know. And it still wouldn't prove anything. It wouldn't have proven anything in terms of the future. What would have is being able to use him in the preseason, which they were unable to do. And people can point out that if you had seen not this past season in the NCAA, but if you had gone by 2 years ago, who's a better quarterback, Fernando Mendoza or Will Howard? Well, I think, pretty sure, I know Mendoza's got a big family and everything, so maybe the Mendoza family would disagree, but I think most everybody else would say that Will Howard was a better quarterback than Fernando Mendoza, but things can change in a year. Whoever would have thought that, like, Indiana would be like the odds-on, undisputed number one team in college football, which means they obviously are going to lose either next weekend or the week after that. All right, let's go to Bob Smizek. I don't want to keep Bob waiting. I said 9:35. It's 9:36. So, Bob, I apologize for being a minute late, but thank you very much.
No, my pleasure, Jim. No need to apologize.
All right, so what do you think?
I got a lot of time.
Somebody, well, I kind of say that too, and then when I really think about it, I'm thinking it's not a lot of time, but, you know, relatively speaking, we're still good. All right, so somebody asked about, let me see if I can find this, and when I mentioned that you were coming on. Oh, yeah, Jim, asked Bob Smizek if he would write another article / column for this game versus Baltimore like he did in, see, people remember, Bob, like he did in 1984, stating how bad the Steelers would lose. He wasn't sure if it was Oakland or Denver that year, but I was thinking, wasn't it 89 that they won a game? But anyway, I guess you wrote a column where it looked like the Steelers had no chance to do anything. It might have been 84. And then apparently they didn't lose, Bob, even though you wrote a column in the press that said they would.
1984, early in the week, we had a meeting about what we were going to write. I said, I'll write that the Steelers are going to lose. Then I went out to Denver to do some Denver stories. I changed my mind, but I could not change my story assignment, so I had to write that they were going to lose. Myron Cope was squawking about it on the air, how wrong I was. We got phone calls at home. One of them was answered by my 8-year-old son. We changed our phone number for the next 30 years.
Man, those were the days, huh?
Those were the days.
Those were the days. You didn't have an unlisted phone number? Or did you? And they
did
still
not back then. No.
Oh, I did. You know, it's funny. And right around that same time, it was. I remember when so I'm in Boston, and Roger Clemens had a pretty good year in 1986, and so he wins the Cy Young Award. And I get up. You know, we're there the next morning, and one of the news guys says, "Why don't you call him?" And I said, "I don't have his number." He said, "Call information." So no kidding. In 1986, you know, in what it would have been late October, early November. I call information in Katy, Texas, and ask for a number for Roger Clemens, and here it comes back. And so he answers the phone, and I talk with him for a few minutes and record it. We play it back on the air, and then I heard from another friend of mine who worked for another radio station, did the same thing, and he didn't ask me this, but he asked the other guy. He said, "How come everybody has my number?" And he said, "Well, we just called information." So things are a little bit different now, I guess. But okay. So you were going to if you were going to write a column how the Steelers were going to lose to Baltimore this Sunday night, is there anything that would have changed your mind in between what happened last weekend in Cleveland and going into tomorrow night?
Well, I think the Steelers have a chance to win this game. Lamar Jackson is not having a good season. He was terrible against the Steelers the last time. Now, of course, the Baltimore's a great running attack. They don't need a lot from Jackson. But if I were predicting that the Steelers would lose, is that what you said, Jim?
Yeah.
I would not change. There's nothing that happened last Sunday that could change my mind.
Well, to me, it's what happened. Well, there were conflicting, things here. Like you mentioned, Jackson didn't have a good game last time. So then just give the ball to the guy that ran all over you. And it wasn't just Henry; it was everybody on that team that ran over the Steelers. It was a year ago at this time in the playoffs. And why they didn't stick to that formula, I have absolutely no idea. Maybe. Because the game is here, and I don't know if like home and away and, placating the quarterback or using, whatever. Because when he's healthy, he's one of the best. But when he's not, especially against Pittsburgh. I don't know. It just seems to me so simple just to run the ball until the Steelers prove they can stop it. And even if they do prove that they can stop it for a series or two, I'd still keep on doing it.
Well, I agree with that, Jim, but I was checking the Baltimore statistic the other day, and they are throwing the ball very little at all. I think maybe less than 15 times a game. So I can't imagine them going away from that game plan against the Steelers today, particularly because the Steelers have been known to be susceptible to the run.
Okay,
and they
so
have the best running back in the league.
Well, here. Okay, let's say for the sake of argument, and the Steelers' defense, for the most part, has played better, certainly early on in games over the last 2 or 3 months than they did earlier in the season. Since the back-to-back, since the Buffalo game actually. So let's assume that we're going to give the Steelers a little bit of credit here, that they're going to be able to stop the Ravens, and the Ravens aren't going to score a whole lot of points. Well, last week the opposition didn't score a whole lot of points either, and the Steelers only scored 2 field goals. They don't have DK Metcalf. Baltimore's defense isn't that great, but is there anything that you've seen from the Steelers' offense to show that they would be able to score enough points to win the game, even if the defense is able to hold them to, say, under 15 points?
Well, you never know what Steeler team is going to show up, Jim. They have some great games. They have some horrible games. Now, obviously, with Metcalf out, that's an enormous takeaway from their team. And I don't know if Austin's playing today or not, but he's the number 2 wide receiver. And Washington is out of the game too. I can't see them scoring a lot of points. I can see them winning this game, though. They're just, from my vantage point, way too hard to predict. Way too hard.
Yeah, that's sort of the, I don't know, that's not quite the hidden vigorish, but it's like what I talked about earlier, where after the Cincinnati and Green Bay games, you're thinking, man, there's no way they can shut down Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, and yet they did. And then you're thinking to yourself, how are they going to shut down the Detroit Lions? And they did, at least until the very end of the game when it got way too close. And I think T.J. Watt is going to play. Obviously, that can't hurt, but that's the one position where even with one of the all-time greats at that position, even without him, the Steelers have enough behind him to make do. If excuse me, if that's a phrase. I want to give a shout out here real quick, because I didn't realize this until somebody I heard probably during one of our shows during the week about Joey Porter Jr. And it got to the point over the last couple of years. I honestly thought that if there were veteran NFL referees that sometimes whistled him for pass interference because of things that his dad had done, like 15 years ago, done or said.
You don't seriously believe that, do you, Jim?
No, I know, but it's funny. It made you laugh. So if I could make you laugh, then that's all I care about.
Very good.
But again, that's the whole. I was talk about that earlier with the whole reputation thing, where guys, where there are reputation calls based on who the better player is in one-on-one matchups, and that the better player almost always gets the benefit of the doubt. And the same thing I think is true with rookies. And especially at that position where you're going against veteran wide receivers, and a lot of times he covers some of the best. But this year he hasn't given up a touchdown in something like 1,400 snaps, and the next best defensive back on that list is like half of that. That's crazy. I know that he's grabby still, and he gets caught from time to time, but my goodness, he's had a really, really good year.
Jim, can I digress for 1 second?
Please.
About your officiating theory.
Yes.
What happens? You're saying the veteran player gets the benefit of the doubt. What happens if Greg Maddux is pitching to Willie Stargell? The pitch crosses the plate. The umpire has to think for a few seconds. Which guy is more experienced? It doesn't work that way. That's not how officiating goes. You are perpetrating great untruths. That
I am.
Yes.
I should go on Truth Social. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm serious, Jim. That does not happen in sports. I know a lot of people believe that it can't happen.
You don't remember to use the Maddox argument is that he would start here and then it would kind of creep, and I'm not, and I don't know if they take into account whoever the guy is. I guess there are probably famous stories about Ted Williams. Where if he let it go, then it couldn't have been a strike because he had the best eye in baseball, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, maybe these tales perpetrate themselves.
Well, I just felt duty bound to rebut your theory. Now, what was the question? I apologize.
I can't remember. No, it was Geez, I don't know. Oh, about Joey Porter Jr. How he's, and I don't know if there's anything about a Porter that can be considered quiet, but if he's quietly had like kind of an underrated, like an excellent season that has almost gone unnoticed.
Well, let's see how unnoticed it goes when the All-Pro teams come out and things like that. And I know he's not going to be All-Pro, but I'm not so sure it's unnoticed. I don't have the capability of rating cornerbacks across the league. I think he's a really good cornerback. He's a bit of a jerk, but I do not think his father's reputation or his reputation. Officials are graded on every game they play. They're not going to deliberately make a mistake when their job hinges on it.
Do you think NHL officials are more susceptible to this kind of stuff?
That could be. I try never to watch NHL games, Jim.
One of the things.
You'll have to excuse me on that.
Well, you know how the. Well, you know, since baseball, with both of us as our initial background with sports and so forth, that, you know, we always heard about like the magic words, and I think they either had 3 or 4 syllables that if you, in baseball, you use one of those 3 or 4 syllable words, and then there was an automatic ejection. And yet the thing, I will say this about officials in the NHL, the language that they're subjected to on a constant basis, and a lot of times they give it right back to the players. But it's if people actually heard everything, you know, they have like players mic'd up. The only people that really get to enjoy that mic'd up stuff are the people that are in the booths who have to censor the mic'd up stuff that they can't play back, because it's just crazy the amount of abuse that NHL officials take from
I was
players.
not aware of that. I was not aware of that. Speaks to
to not watching NHL games.
Pardon me?
To not watching NHL games.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Let's get back to the Buccos here, because somebody once again took not offense, but took issue with that I said, hey, you know what? Is it okay to? Well, okay. I'll just throw the question out to you. We're talking to Bob Smizik, the veteran former columnist from the Press and the Post-Gazette, worked for both local papers, which is great, because at the end you didn't have much choice. But but at any rate, is it okay to feel good about the Pirates now with some of what they're actually doing things? Is it okay to feel good about that?
It's okay to feel better about that. I just read Joe Sheehan's newsletter. He was evaluating the trade for Lowe, and he said the Pirates have an improved offense today, but they still don't have a good offense. I think that sums it up very well. Now, that was before Ahern, who has a little bit more to the pie, but it's still not a good offense.
Yes, that's what one of the texters pointed out. So maybe it was Joe Sheehan himself who actually
could be. I know Joe never misses this show. Who actually
well, that makes one of them, I guess. But he somebody did point out that they're just and even with Ahern, or was it Lau? I can't remember. It was one of them who the second half of the season was actually outperformed by Tommy Pham. I guess once Tommy Pham got his now that's also damning with faint praise, or no wait, praising with faint, whatever it is.
But Pham had a very strong final 2 months of the season.
I know. Once he got his eyes checked, Bob.
You're right. If that is true, how stupid are the Pirates?
Or him.
Or him. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a large portion.
Yeah, I just don't understand where a guy makes his living based on that. Although I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like those of us, Bob, that are advanced in years that may need a hearing aid, that I'm told I need, that I'm not going to get right now because I don't feel like getting it. But that what I hear and what you hear and what, say, my wife hears, as an example, are two completely different things. And maybe what we see, what I see, what you see, what somebody else sees, we're not seeing the same thing because our eyes aren't good enough, but we just don't realize it.
Well, they've improved. They still have a lot of spots to fill. They need a third baseman. They need a right-handed bat to play first base. When regular first baseman sits down, I'm assuming Ahern will be the designated hitter. That puts Mangum in left field. Mel Mangum, he is not a power bat out there. He's very good defensively, but there are weaknesses galore. You got a center fielder who may not be any good at all. You got a shortstop who's very light hitting. Got catchers, at least the primary catcher, very light hitting. They've got a potentially very good pitching staff. There's a chance they can get out of last place. There's a slight chance they could have a winning record. I won't go much further than that, Jim.
Speaking of light hitting shortstops, they do have a heavy hitting shortstop prospect. What are your expectations? And now we haven't seen spring training. Let's just assume, okay? I'm gonna take a positive approach here with Connor Griffin, that he does in spring training what he did in the minors last year, meaning upper 300s. Maybe in spring training, it's not unusual to see a guy hit 400 because of the competition that they face. If he does that, is there any chance that the Pirates would put him on the opening day roster?
Well, if they hadn't done it 2 years ago with Jared Jones, I would say absolutely not. But I think there's a very slim chance they might do it. But I really think that they have to feel he needs some time in AAA, and the financial end of it also plays into it. I would say there's a 5% chance of him starting the season on the opening day on the roster. But I expect him to be here late May, early June.
All right. Do you think that, and our colleague Joe Starkey and a couple people on the text line have asked about this, do you think that, and Happy New Year, by the way, that can 2026, does it have to be better than some of the negativity that we had in Pittsburgh last year?
Oh, yeah, definitely should be better this year. I mean, I have somewhat higher expectations, not as much as some people do, but they're definitely going to be a better team. They've got a nice rotation. I think they need to pick up a veteran left-handed starter to finish off the rotation. But yeah, there's a reason for optimism. And if this wasn't for the clock ticking on Skeens, there'd be greater reason for optimism. But his time here is limited, and I think that's why they finally decided to start to do something this year. And, of course, the big thing is if they land a good third baseman, all this changes and their expectations to go up significantly.
Okay, let's go back to I know you haven't watched the Penguins, so I'll leave them out of the conversation. What about the Steelers? What do you think is going to happen tomorrow, and what do you think will happen moving forward? Let's say they don't win tomorrow.
They don't win tomorrow. I don't think anyone's going to be fired. I don't think Tomlin will be fired. I don't think the GM will be fired. It doesn't appear to be the Steelers' way. They still have an enormous problem at quarterback. I suppose it's possible Rodgers wants to play next year. It doesn't mean he wants to play in Pittsburgh. If he wants to play, they want to get a lot more money than he got in Pittsburgh. Their situation, to my way of thinking, Jim, is not good. They still do not have a quarterback of the future. There apparently is not a great quarterback of the future, or at least one within their reach in next year's draft. I know they got a lot of draft choices. They can move up in the draft, but you can only move so far with those kind of draft choices. I just can't see a bright future with an old defense and no quarterback.
All right, Bob, on that optimistic note, we'll let you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim, and Happy New Year.
Okay, Happy New Year to you as well. The great Bob Smizik joining us. And, I feel like coughing like that too. So I'm going to. All right, we'll get back to the phones here coming up at the top of the hour. Something about that I noticed, and I wish this is one of those things where I see it online and then I forget who I want to credit with this. But it's an interesting thing that I noticed about, or somebody else noticed, and then I looked at it, about the Steelers, something that has been a legitimate criticism in recent years, and yet something that when you look at it, you're going like, oh, whoa, that was actually pretty good. I'm Jim Colony. What else do I have to read here? I got to read this. Fan weather is brought to you by Myers Law Group, Pittsburgh's choice for affordable legal solutions. Temperatures in the 20s today and tomorrow, and then temperatures climb up during the work week if you're working. Upwards 60 on Friday?
Yeah, can you believe it?
Oh, that was your cue to go, 60?
60. Crazy, right?
Yeah, that's it. 60. I got it. I'll be back. Bye.
Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan. Every Wednesday, 93.7 The Fan gives you an inside look from a former general manager with Wednesday with Whaley.
Hey, we're playing to win the game.
Doug Whaley joins the Fan Morning Show from 9 to 10 to give his insight from the front office perspective. Wednesdays with Whaley. Doug Whaley is brought to you by Tri-State Office Furniture, Morgan & Morgan Law Firm, Allegiant Community Federal Credit Union, and Bet365. Now, Fan Headlines, powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville.
At noon today, Penguins take on the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit in the Motor City. Penguins were 4-3 winners Thursday night in overtime against Detroit, the top team in the Eastern Conference. Also today at noon, Pitt basketball takes on Clemson at the Peterson Event Center right here on the Fan with coverage at 11:30. Later today, Panthers take on the Buccaneers at 4:30. Seahawks and the 49ers at 8:15, both right here on 93.7 The Fan, your home for the NFL on Westwood One, and the Odyssey streaming app, also available for both those games as well. Headlines powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville. For more, go to 937thefan.com.
Don't miss the Panthers Insider Show every Saturday morning from 8 to 9 with Pat Bostic. The best insight with the top guests and everything you need to know about Pitt. The Panther Insider Show is brought to you by Voss TV and Appliance, Line Kepler-Coriac, Cranberry Dental Studio, EJ Dick Trummel and Lindy Group, EGT Trucking, NSS Live, Lot 17 Bloomfield, and Feeney Insurance Agency. Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
A cold Saturday ahead with high temperatures into the upper 20s and mostly cloudy skies. A few light snow showers possible tonight with lows around 20 degrees. Mostly cloudy for Sunday with highs in the low 30s. And Sunday night, mostly cloudy with lows in the upper teens. I'm meteorologist Mary Hours in the KDK First Alert Weather Center.
Kohl's new clearance markdowns are intense. Up to 70% off is the kind of deal that'll leave you feeling stunned and make you whisper things like, "Where have you been my whole life?" to a cardigan. Just take a deep breath, steady your cart, and try to act normal. But it's not possible. The savings are just too good. Shop new clearance markdowns now, in-store and online at Kohl's. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898. Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-352-9239. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-352-9239. 800-352-9239 or biglou.com.
If you're considering functional medicine, there's only one Steel City Medical Center. We specialize in bioidentical hormones for women, testosterone replacement, peptides, medical weight loss, and medical weight loss done the right way. Our highly educated, experienced medical team is here for you. If experience and results matter, there's only one, Steel City Medical Center, serving the greater Pittsburgh market for 10 years with a 5-star rating. Steel City Medical Center.
At Straight Talk, we get it. You say no a lot.
Mom, can I get a tarantula?
No.
Coffee?
No.
So we're giving you more reasons to say yes, like a free 5G phone with real unlimited data with select plan activation. Can I use the free phone?
Yes.
See? Doesn't it feel good to say yes to more?
Absolutely.
Face tattoo?
Absolutely not.
Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Taxes and fees apply. In-store activation of Gold Unlimited plan or higher required. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Text us on the Edgar Snyder and Associates text line at 412-928-9370. Edgar Snyder and Associates reminds you to text responsibly. Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan, built by Window Nation. Home of the buy two, get two free offer. HD1 Pittsburgh, an Odyssey sports station. Live from the Jim Shorkey Mitsubishi.com studios, North Huntington and North Hills. Always live and free on the Odyssey app.
93.7 Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-880-1212. That's 800-880-1212. Again, that's 800-880-1212.
Hi, my name's Robin Fletcher. I've smoked for 46 years. I went to a seminar in March of 27 and seen Mark. My best friend came with me. We both went to it, and neither one of us smoked a cigarette in almost 7.5 months. I took my 3 sisters and my brother-in-law and my sister's best friend and went. None of them have smoked a cigarette, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
My name is Jen Carpenter. I went to a Mark Patrick seminar, Stop Smoking, and it worked. A friend of mine also went, and he still no longer smokes, and it was just amazing.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Only $59.99. Hypnosis designed to work without anxiety, irritability, or weight gain. Only $59.99. Become a non-smoker. That's right. Hypnosis Sunday, January 11th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, Pittsburgh West in Greentree. Stop smoking hypnosis, 2 p.m. Weight loss hypnosis, 11 a.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Ouch! Checked from behind. Man, that's gotta hurt.
I'd hire Morgan & Morgan if I were them.
What?
Yeah, Dan, America's largest injury law firm. They serve up justice, ice, cold, law. Know what I mean?
I guess.
Their gloves come off when they fight for you.
Okay.
I'm talking a settlement slap shot.
Shouldn't we be talking about the game?
Yeah, Dan, Morgan & Morgan. Proud sponsor of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Offices Pittsburgh.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Save $10 on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Our professional parts people will even install them for free.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Check the back seat. Check the back seat.
Gets in your head, right? Good, because every year dozens of children are forgotten in the back seat. Cars get hot fast and can be deadly, so get it in your head. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Your hometown building partner since 1956. 84 Lumber. Visit 84lumber.com.
As a detective, I've solved many mysteries, but this one has me stumped.
Why does NJM Insurance remain silent in a world full of catchy jingles?
What are they up to? It's suspicious.
Yet their policyholders all agree.
NJM is amazing. When things go wrong, they do what's right.
But is the world ready for an ad break that's jingle-free? Tune in to Baffling Mysteries, where the story of the missing jingle unfolds.
This fictional podcast is brought to you by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
I'm attorney Ed Shenderovich. Have you been injured at work? You may have more than one claim. To find out if you do, call us at 888-98-TWINS for a free consultation. At Shenderovich and Fishman, we've got your back, not your wallet.
Now, fan headlines. Sports, powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville.
All right, Joel Nelson for Fan Headlines this afternoon. Pitt basketball takes on Clemson at noon, right here on the Fan with coverage at 11:30. Penguins also take on Detroit at noon, being played in the Motor City after the Penguins were 4-3 overtime winners against Detroit from Thursday night. Steelers and Ravens, 8:20 on Sunday night from Acrisure Stadium to decide the AFC North. Fan Game Day is at 5 o'clock Sunday night with Donnie Football, Mark Cabali, and Jeff Hathorn. More headlines at 937thefan.com. Right now it's hour number 2 with Jim Colony.
93.7 The Fan is cleared by aquickdrain.com.
All right, we're back for another hour and a half. No pomp today because we have Pitt basketball coming up at noontime. So I'm Jim Colony in for another hour and a half. I think that means I get paid for another hour, an extra hour. You know, when you're in retirement, every little extra dollar helps, right? It's like the PA lottery, right? Benefits senior citizens, I guess. Haven't seen, actually, you know what, I did finally see some of that at Christmas, which was interesting. Wasn't that much, but it was okay. So that's right, Gus, right? Okay, we're here with Joel Nelson. He's running the show. The second most famous groundhog in Pennsylvania is that Gus. Okay, so Gus was finally. Because and quite honestly, I don't get compensated by the lottery commission, but scratch offs that's a good stock. It really is a great stocking stuffer. You know, it's a real easy thing. You can, if you got like say 5 stockings, you just go to the machine, you put $10 in, you get 5 $2 scratch off tickets, put them in everybody's stocking. Yeah, woohoo! Right? Maybe you win, maybe you don't, but it's a nice little and it's better than giving grandpa a tie. Although if you're a grandpa like me, and I've never really had to wear ties, and certainly not on any kind of a regular basis. But I remember my dad I still have a whole bunch of ties in the closet, and I never wear them because I don't have to. And so if you don't have to wear a tie, then why would you ever wear a tie? Although there is something to be said for dressing up every now and again. I mean, it's just cool. You feel like you feel more important than you actually are, I guess. But again, the last time I wore a tie was whatever the last wedding I went to. And that was probably a while ago. So you get to a certain age. Joel, you're at the wedding going age. Are you not? Are you at the age where you go to a lot of weddings or a lot of
Yeah, this will be around the time, yeah.
Yeah. Now we got married. And we're going to have Dan Kingursky from Detroit coming up, and we'll talk some hockey coming up here in a half hour or so. But in the meantime, going to weddings. Now, my wife and I got married when we were 25. Both of us were 25 years old. And that actually kind of creates some issues in terms of milestones because we'll have another one coming up in like 5 years. Because when we both turned within a calendar year, we both turned 50, and in the middle of that, we had our 25th anniversary. Right, those are big milestones: a 25th anniversary and then a 50th birthday. And so we had that, and then the next one coming up is going to seem like one that, I mean, who knew? But a 50th wedding anniversary, and then 75th birthdays. Okay, now you're getting up there. But nonetheless, I ask you, when you go to a wedding nowadays, is dress more casual than it used to be? Because I've seen photos from weddings where it's like not everybody's wearing a tie. And I'm not talking about the wedding party. That's different completely.
I haven't been to one recently, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if everything has gone like down.
But you'd wear a tie, right? To a wedding?
I might go like the suit and the dress shirt, but maybe not a tie.
Business casual.
Pretty much, yeah.
But
I'll do the suit, but maybe not a tie.
But see, you can always get to the point where that, because this is it was kind of a liberating move. All right, so let's assume, for the sake of argument, that you go to a wedding at a church, and then you know, while the wedding party's taking pictures, wherever they take pictures, everybody else is driving to where the reception is. And you know, I mean, whether you walk down to the Knights of Columbus Hall or whether you have to drive someplace, you know, you go from the wedding, you're in church, you're buttoned up, right? You're wearing the tie, looking sharp. But you get to the wedding, or you get to the reception rather, and then at some point you loosen you can loosen the tie. You don't take it off, you just loosen it, and that's I don't know. I always thought that was kind of cool. You know, you just get to that point where you're like, 30, 40 an hour into the reception, and then it's like, okay, we got to loosen the tie here, all right, because the important stuff is over.
Yeah, after all of the main stuff, I would say, is when you can
and then the fun
safely.
The fun stuff is just beginning. So I'm trying to think of where I was. Okay, so let's get back to this. I'll talk about the you can give us a call. We got a couple of calls earlier, so please feel free to call again, because I do want to get the pulse and the just the thinking that you have going into the Steelers game tomorrow, because this is a final regular season game. It's often come down to playoff positioning has often come down to the end of the season, and I don't know, every 3 or 4 years, every 3 years now, because you're going to play a divisional opponent every year now. So, but every 3 years it's going to be the Ravens. You know, so next year it'll probably be what? It'll probably be Cincinnati, because that's the way the NFL does it now, where you have a divisional opponent for your last game, which is a good way to do it. So, but the last regular season game, there's a lot of times, I don't know, it's come down to the Steelers are playing for playoff positioning, but I guess they've never really faced off against the Ravens for like a winner-take-all, division's going to be decided, the loser is out situation. That's never happened. But that's going to happen tomorrow night. So the town should be filled with excitement. There should be playoff fever. Everybody should be all fired up. And yet I don't, maybe it's because I don't get around as much anymore. I don't cover the team. And I have my own little cocoon of people, but maybe I don't. During the summer, when the weather's good and I'm working at Pheasant Ridge, I see a lot of people, and the subject of sports comes up an awful lot. So I'm kind of, got my finger on the pulse more. At least I did during the first 10 weeks or so of the season before golf ended. But I just, maybe I don't have my finger on the pulse, but it just seems like it's, this should be like a really, really, really big deal. And I don't get the impression that it is. If people are just worn out over the same thing happening over and over again, with the feeling of, well, even if they win, and I've gotten a few texts on this on the Edgar Snyder and Associates fan text line, a personal injury law firm, where they always say there's never a fee unless we get money for you. The fan text line at 412-928-9370. That's the most thing that I've seen, a half a dozen of those things, where it's like, well, doesn't matter. Even if they win on Sunday, they're going to lose the first round, or even if they. But I can also see a pace, and I know see a scenario, and see a place where the Steelers, if they win on Sunday, and they beat the Ravens, and they're home against, Houston, San Diego, Buffalo, whoever it is, or I say San Diego, the Chargers, against those teams, then at least Houston, I think, because they don't score a lot of points compared to the others, that you can see a road where the Steelers beat the Ravens, they beat the team that they play, because they're going to have home field against the fifth-place seed. They win that game, and then if they go to Denver, they go to New England, they've already won there this year, that you can see where they – I don't think Jacksonville can't be the number one seed, though, right? So Jacksonville's locked into the 3 seed. But so unless there's another upset, they wouldn't go to Jacksonville. But even if they did, and as prolific as the Jaguars have been recently, that's an inexperienced team when it comes to the playoffs. Of course, Steelers not that experienced either when you think about it. But you can see a path where the Steelers could win at home and then win again. it could happen. And yet, in years past where you've seen the team playing well at the end of the season, the best example is leading up to Super Bowl 40 when the Steelers were 7-5 and things didn't look all that great. And then all of a sudden, Jerome Bettis runs over Urlacher in the snow, and the Steelers never lost another game. But at that point, when they were going into the playoffs, those of us, and we all follow the team closely, you thought they were the best team in the AFC at that point. And even though they had to go to Indianapolis, they had to go to Denver, that you thought, hey, you felt good about the Steelers' chances of winning those games. And even though the Steelers were like primarily a running team at that time, I always remember the beginning of that game in Denver, where that was maybe the best I'd seen. And Ben Roethlisberger had a lot of prolific games, but my goodness, was he good that game. That game in Denver, the one he hit Hines Ward under the goalpost. It was no one was playing better than the Steelers. This Steelers team obviously is a lot different in terms of any kind of momentum that they have building up to this point. But at any rate, I just don't sense any kind of an optimism. So if you're optimistic, I want to hear from you at 412-928-9370. On the other hand, if you're one of those people who was booing Renegade and calling fire Mike Tomlin in the Buffalo game when things looked really, really bad, I want to hear from you too. I'd also like to hear from people if you're not going to the game, if you're selling your tickets. Somebody texted in earlier saying it was going to be a Ravens fan takeover. I can't see that. Joel, can you see that? Can you see a situation where there are going to be a lot of Baltimore fans at this game? Like there were a lot of Steeler fans in Cleveland last weekend because the Browns had nothing to play for, and there was a pretty good Pittsburgh representation. But and we've seen that in the past. But I can't see Baltimore fans taking over the stadium or even being a large group of people.
You'll maybe a handful of Ravens fans, but it won't be any of those deals where you talk about like Steeler takeovers for their road games, Los Angeles Chargers and whoever else. Whenever they go to Las Vegas, there's always big Steelers fans everywhere, but it won't be, I don't think it'll be that kind of a deal. Maybe we'll see a touch more of Ravens fans than expected, but nothing overwhelming, I would say. I would expect that to be a lot of Steelers fans, but maybe there'll be a lot of fans wearing the color black, and so you may not know who's who, but...
Well, no, you got to know better than that. If you're opposition, you got to wear something...
With purple?
Well, yeah, but the other thing is I wonder, and maybe Steeler fans are... And I don't want to say that we're unruly and would do anything untoward to opposition fans, because, no, we wouldn't do anything like that here in Pittsburgh. But no, if you're, I don't know, I still think that you'd want to be more incognito coming here. You don't want to be overly demonstrative, or maybe you do. I don't know. Have things changed? And that's another thing. See, I'm not, even when I was... And you don't pay to get into the games. You guys get to go to the games for free. Well, that's true. But what I would do is that when we would park our car up by CCAC to walk down to, well, when I covered it was Heinz Field, I think, still. But at any rate, you'd walk to the stadium, and you'd have to walk about, I don't know, was it half a mile or so, would you say? Half, 3/4 of a mile for more. Oh, and I would park beyond there because we only had one parking spot at CCAC. So I'd park up on Brighton Avenue. Up north of, it would be north of North Ave. But anyway, so I would park up there. So I might walk. I might have walked a mile, and so I'd walk past the tailgating areas, and you'd walk past, and you'd see. You could always gauge. It was always interesting to gauge how many opposition fans that you would see on your way, because there are tons of satellite parking lots that I would walk by that you would see people and typically, it was unusual to see visiting fans, even Ravens fans, even to see a lot of them. I remember what was it? San Francisco came in one year, and I remember walking by, and I was actually surprised how many. And again, I can't remember what time of year it was, and what was at stake that particular game. But San Francisco coming to town, it happens only once every 8 years. With the NFC team, although it's going to happen more often now because of that. You play that extra game against the team from the other conference. And then it'll happen more often once they go to 18 games, and you'll probably play a couple of NFC teams. So it'll be maybe every 4 years you would see a team. But at any rate, you don't see visiting NFC fans that often. But I was surprised. I did see a lot of 49ers fans. But I think it was earlier in the year because if you're an opposing fan and if you're picking out, and Steeler fans do this, right? Like Joel, like you mentioned, if you see the Steelers have a game in Las Vegas, well, Pittsburgh fans, you're going to jump on that Allegiant flight, the Southwest flight, whatever flight it is, and you're going to say, hey, man, I want to go to a game in Vegas. And you might do this.
Allegiant Field, I think it is.
Yes, it is. So like a double plug for their whatever they're paying for their naming rights situation. But so you would, what's a good, like going to Arizona, right? Steelers have a game in Arizona, especially if it's like late in the year.
That'll be a takeover.
Yeah, that's a good one to go to. San Francisco would be, but anyway, Pittsburgh early in the year, that's a great destination for people who have never been here. I think the word is out that Pittsburgh is an underrated city in terms of places to go. That it's and it really is. I mean, there's a lot to do here. The only thing that we don't have here that any other city metropolitan area has is an NBA team. We have everything else. Now, I'm culturally deficient compared to a lot of people, but we have you want the arts and all that stuff. We have that, and all the sports. We have everything except an NBA team, and then the views and walking around. It's a great walking around city. So this is a great destination for visiting fans. But if you're a Baltimore fan, it's easy to get to. Obviously, it only takes like 3.5 hours if the weather's okay. But in terms of being welcomed by Pittsburgh fans, I think that's where things get a little bit different. And I do know, again, same deal from covering games in Baltimore where we had to walk from where we had to park, which wasn't the best area. And I think it still is the same area that visiting media parks. That was one of those ones, by the way, where, and I don't know if Jeff took a station vehicle. I know I never took a station vehicle to a game there. And the same thing was true in Cleveland back in the day. I saw somebody once punch out a window of the FSN whenever Pittsburgh Sportsnet, how many names it's been through over the last 25 or 30 years. But over the last 25 years, I remember going to a game up in Cleveland once where the Browns blew it like they always did. I think it was when Nick Eason failed to tackle Roethlisberger, and the Steelers ended up coming back and winning the game. And then there was the FSN van was stopped at a light by like Ontario or Carnegie or one of those streets coming out of the stadium. And somebody came up and just punched out the window of it, which was crazy. I mean, why would you first of all, you're going to get, okay, that's a typical guy thing to do, by the way, is to sit there and punch something that the only thing you're going to hurt is yourself. But anyway, that's the way it used to be. San Francisco said the opening game was 3 years ago. Well, I didn't go because I wasn't working. So that would have been 8 years before that. That would have been like 11 years ago that I would have done that I would have been going to that game. But it's just, and again, we're not getting a whole lot of traction here. And, for people that want to talk about, although we do have James in Youngstown. So if we get James up, Joel, go ahead. Hey, James, what's up?
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to call in and say I'm probably one of the few people that actually am excited about the game tomorrow, and I'm one of the few people that loves Mike Tomlin still, and I can go into that. First of all, I wouldn't go to a game and spend money if I didn't think they had a chance to win. I don't think Baltimore's any better than us. They have issues. I feel like either team could not score. Our run defense has been so much better, so I feel like Derrick Henry is going to get limited. And I think the difference will be our kickers, and I think Boswell's better than Tyler Bass or whatever his name is.
It's Loop. The guy's name is Loop.
Loop. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
no, that's okay. No, you're forgiven. Wasn't there a Tyler Bass? He was from Buffalo, right?
Buffalo,
I think he was Buffalo's kicker. But what gives you the idea that they can stop the run based on what we've seen?
Well, I mean, they have stopped the run against some very good teams outside of the I was at the Buffalo game, and I will say, I mean, we were winning at halftime. The problem was right after halftime, it all fell apart.
Yeah, Buffalo's done that a couple times, actually. They did that to the Steelers, and then they did that, I think it was a few games later against New England, where the Patriots were ahead, I think, by 3 touchdowns, and Buffalo came back and won the game. But okay, so you were there. Okay, so you were at the game when when Renegade came on, things were going poorly, and then the fans booed Renegade because they knew it wasn't going to work, and it didn't.
Yep.
And then they were, obviously, if you like Mike Tomlin, you weren't chanting for him to get fired. But how noticeable was that where you were sitting?
Okay, so it was very noticeable, and I did not partake in the booing of Tomlin. I said, I like the guy. I think he's done more for this team than people give him credit for. I did boo Renegade only because I feel like that was like a corporate thing, trying to get everybody pumped up who paid to come to the game, and it's like, come on, guys, this is like nobody's getting pumped up anymore because the next play they're probably going to give up a third down.
It was on a pretty good. Renegade was on a pretty good run for a while, and then it
was awesome for a while when you actually believed that they could stop them and do something. But now it's like, it's unfortunately you realize they'll probably get a first down right after Renegade plays.
Well, enjoy the game tomorrow night. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Enjoy.
I did want to say one more thing because
Sure.
It's a very big point. The whole Tomlin versus Cowher debate, it drives me crazy because people are always like, oh, Mike Tomlin won a Super Bowl with Cowher's team and stuff like that. But people forget how bad Cowher was prior to that. And the only similarity between these two coaches was a young Ben Roethlisberger. So in my mind, it wasn't Tomlin or Cowher. It was more Big Ben and the people that he had around him. And I think people give too much credit to Cowher and not enough to Tomlin. But it was really Big Ben who I feel like gave them both a championship.
That's sure. All right, James. Thanks a lot for the call. We'll get Leslie here in a second. But I do want to mention that Bill Cowher won with Chuck Noll's players. Chuck Noll, the first year, I was talking to somebody the other day and I don't cover the team anymore on a daily basis, but since I've been here in 1991, there have been for most of you, there have only been 3 Steeler coaches. There's only been 3 of them, since 1970, Chuck Noll, then Bill Cowher, then Mike Tomlin. And I remember I was here for Chuck's last year, and that team wasn't very good. But then Bill Cowher came in the next year, and they were the top seed in the AFC. And if he had played Bubby instead of if he had played Bubby in that game instead of Neil O'Donnell, I think the Steelers would have won because they had home field against Buffalo that year in the playoffs, and they ended up losing to then Buffalo was in the midst of winning 4 straight AFC championships. But so Bill Cowher came in and he won with Chuck Noll's players. When Chuck Noll didn't, because that team wasn't very good. I just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, we got Leslie up here now. Leslie, what's up? Hello, Leslie, you're up. All right, Leslie, we'll see you later. Sorry, I feel bad for Leslie. Because Leslie was probably waiting on hold for quite a bit, and then all of a sudden we were there, and then, I don't know, it sounded like we had pulled up to the drive-through window at McDonald's. And then the thing comes on, but you don't hear anybody on the other end. And you're trying to figure out, hello, McFly. So I feel bad for Leslie, but Leslie, call back in a half hour when we'll be back at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, we're going to talk a little Penguins hockey, shift gears, as the saying goes in the talk show radio biz. And we're going to talk to our buddy Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now, who right now is in Detroit, or as they call it, Detroit. Oh, wait, Leslie's back? Oh, wait a minute. Leslie, no wonder Leslie wasn't on early, because Leslie was in Kennedy, and now Leslie's in Elwood City.
You know what? I think there's an imposter Leslie, Jim.
There is. Well, okay. Well, go ahead, Leslie. You've got the real Leslie up now. What's up?
I just wanted to also concur with, was it Jason, the last guy you were talking to?
It was James. Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
James and I should meet up at the game tomorrow to show our support for Mike Tomlin.
Okay.
I'm super pumped for the game. I got a ticket. My one buddy, of 20 years, called me. He's like, I got an extra ticket. I'm like, heck yeah. Energy is going to be high.
Okay, so you're not going to turn on the Steelers if things go poorly?
No, I won't turn on them. I will be severely disappointed.
Right. That's even worse, right? That's like, did your parents ever tell you when you were growing up, you do something bad, and then they would say, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed.
Yes.
That's worse than being angry, isn't it?
It really is. I'll have a broken heart on Monday.
Okay. Well, I hope that you don't. But I'm glad you're able to get through. Anything else on your mind? Happy New Year, by the way.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. I know your son. Tell him I said Happy New Year, Chris.
Oh, Chris. Okay. Well, I'm sure he's not.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not listening. So I will pass the word on to Chris.
Okay.
All right. Bye, Leslie. Thanks for the call. All right. So she knows Chris. Actually, I forgot to ask if she was single because Chris is. But thought I'd throw that out there for all you eligible bachelorettes, say in your late 30s, early 40s. He's out there, and he takes after his mom. So there's actually that. All right, now coming up next, we're going to go to Detroit, and we're going to go to, which I don't know if they still call themselves Hockey Town. They probably do. We're going to go to Detroit and talk to Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now, where the Penguins, they're getting ready to play a game here in 90 minutes. I'm Jim Colony on 93.7 The Fan.
Now, fan headlines powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville.
Later today, an NFL on Westwood doubleheader right here on 93.7 The Fan, your home for the NFL on Westwood 1. Carolina Panthers take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 4:30. Seattle Seahawks against the San Francisco 49ers later tonight at 8:15. Both those games right here on The Fan and available to stream on the free Odyssey app. Fan headlines are powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville. For more, go to 937thefan.com.
Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan. Get the latest on Pittsburgh sports from anywhere with the Odyssey app. Listen to shows and Pirate Games live. Check out our exclusive interviews and content anytime. Download the Odyssey app now and never miss a minute. Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
Hi, Paul Alexander here. Look, I know I'm probably older than most of you listening, but that's probably why you should listen. I dropped 35 pounds in 7 weeks at the age of 61 with Awaken 180. For me, it was a breeze, which shocked me because at my age, nothing about losing weight is supposed to be easy. Your metabolism slows down, your excuses speed up, and most programs feel like punishment. This one did not. The Awaken 180 program, my coach, the results, 10 times better than I'd ever imagined. I didn't starve. I didn't miss out on anything. I just followed the plan and watched the weight fall off. If you're 35 or 45, it's a no-brainer. You're in your prime for this. But if you're 60 or older, I'm telling you, it works. 3 years later, I haven't added a single pound back. Awaken 180 weight loss, one of the best decisions I've ever made. For your in-person or at-home consultation, make the call. 844-346-1800, 844-346-1800, or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
We're gonna be so late for the concert at Point State Park. We should be there by now.
I just need to stop for gas real quick. I know a cheap place down Liberty Avenue.
Are you serious? We're gonna miss the show because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is great. It's a free app that gets you cash back when you buy gas.
Wait, you mean I can get money back just for buying gas?
Yep, and it really works. I've actually made around $200 this year already. Now pull over so you can download Upside before we miss the concert.
Pulling over. You had me at $200.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you buy gas in the Steel City. Use promo code PITT to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. Get the Upside app and use promo code PITT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PITT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-358-6868. That's 800-358-6868. Again, 800-358-6868.
PNC Bank,
brilliantly boring since 1865.
Pittsburgh Regional Transit is now hiring full-time bus drivers. It's a great place to accelerate your career. We offer great pay and terrific benefits like health care, paid vacation time, dental, vision, and more. We're even offering a starting bonus for those who qualify. Call 412-566-5162 to pre-register for our upcoming hiring event on Friday, January 16th. Candidates may receive an offer that same day. Go to rideprt.org/careers to learn more. PRT is an equal opportunity employer.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
If you or someone you know suffered any injuries involving a deployed airbag, you could be entitled to compensation. Morgan & Morgan has already recovered millions. Get America's largest injury law firm fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Since 1969, a quick drain service has been going down the drain so you don't have to. Proudly serving the tri-state area, they're your go-to experts for DOT certified gas, water, and sewer line installations, from plumbing to sewer and drain cleaning. They do it all. Fast, professional, and reliable. Emergency service available 24/7. Lifetime guarantee on water and sewer lines. Senior and military discounts available. A quickdrain.com. A quick drain service. PA number 074216.
Legendary doesn't happen by chance. It happens because it's what BetMGM does. Sign up for BetMGM and check out all the exciting new ways you can make this pro football season unforgettable. Shoot your shot with same-game parlays. Call your plays like a pro with live betting, or bet on a market you didn't know existed thanks to BetMGM Originals. You'll be on the edge of your seat from the very first snap, no matter what type of fan you are. Earn BetMGM rewards points on every bet. Take advantage of football offers found nowhere else, like a second chance on a first touchdown bet. And keep an eye out for rewards dropping in your account throughout the season. Never settle for the ordinary. Sign up today. BetMGM. Make it legendary. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus to wager. Pennsylvania only. Subject to eligibility requirements. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Live from the ShoreKeyMitsubishi.com studios, North Huntington and North Hills.
Right, we are efforting our friend Dan Kingerski. I did text him yesterday, and I said something about, you're going to be at the rink at 10:30, and he said, no, you'd be in a hotel, and then he texted back and goes, oh, wait a minute, I realized the game was at noon. So it's funny, you get in that, and even what'll happen is there'll be post-game interviews with players and maybe even the coaches after this afternoon's game, and they will talk about what happened tonight because it's just ingrained in pretty much everybody that at least in, maybe in the NFL it might be different because a lot of teams do have 1:00 games on Sundays, although not this Sunday. But with other sports, almost every game that they play is at night, and so even after an afternoon game, they'll be like, well, we weren't very good tonight. Well, it's 4:30 in the afternoon when you're talking about this. And actually the Penguins, for whatever reason, over the recent years, it seems, and maybe that's one of those things you remember, just for some reason, just played like garbage in the afternoon games. It didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense because, they practice at noontime or around 11 o'clock every day. That's when they usually are. I was going to talk about just kind of mention Renegade and the the negativity that finally came to the fore in a major way during the collapse against Buffalo when Renegade played and everybody booed it because they knew it wasn't doing any good. It was going to be counterproductive. I remember a game against Dallas at then Heinz Field. So this was back when there were 2 minutes left in it. We used to be able to go down on the field. And it was actually pretty cool because we get down on the field, the game would end, and then, assuming the Steelers won, is that I'd be able to go over and just grab somebody. And, preferably somebody that had something, did something important in the game, or somebody that was just a good talker. Or I could go to somebody I could always get Ramon Foster, David DeCastro, one of those guys. Just talk to them, even for 30 seconds. It's just a cool on-the-field interview, and in the background you'd hear Larry Richard go, "Let's go down on the field of Missy Matthews," because she'd be doing an interview with somebody who would be on the scoreboard. And, so that was always a lot of fun to do that. So we went down, and the Steelers were playing Dallas, and they were behind, and they ended up coming back and taking the lead with under 2 minutes to go at the far end, at the open end of the stadium. And so I can't remember how much time was left. It was under 2 minutes. I'm going to say it was like a minute and a half or so. And so I'm standing there. I can't remember who I was with, but I was standing I went to the far end, the end that Dallas was coming towards, because I knew that Dallas was going to come marching down the field. And it was funny. So I look up, I hear a couple of people muttering. I look over, and it's Roethlisberger and Villanueva. And they're down getting the same point of view that I am, basically. And I remember one of them saying to the other, and I don't want to misquote Ben, but I'm going to say he's the one saying, "There's too much time left. There's too much time." Because I was thinking the same thing myself. That's why I went down to that end, because I knew that's where it was going to end up. And sure enough, Dak Prescott ends up leading the Cowboys down there. And Renegade played. That was the other thing. I think they might have played Renegade for a second time, which was at that point unprecedented. And then, so Renegade plays, and then I'm thinking, oh boy, I don't know if this is going to do any good here. But the Cowboys, I remember Roethlisberger and Al saying how, man, there's too much time left here. And yeah, there was. And Dallas came down and ended up winning the game at the very end. So, and Renegade, I don't think you can blame Renegade for that. And I don't know which defensive players to blame for what happened, but whatever. The Cowboys ended up coming down and winning the game. All right, so much for that. We do get a hold of our buddy Dan Kingerski, he is all things about Pittsburgh hockey now, because he's on the road. He's covering the Penguins on the road. Dan, good morning from Detroit. How are things in Detroit?
Oh, Jim, Detroit is a tropical paradise.
Is it? You mean it's over 20 degrees?
Actually, it is. It's a little bit warmer up here than it was when I left, yeah. No, Detroit is really kind of cool. It's undergoing a nice little renaissance here. We kid because of, maybe what it used to be.
Well, the new rink is not far from the old rink, right?
Honest to gosh, I don't remember where the old rink was. I mean, having been there for the Cup Finals and such.
It was on the water.
There's water everywhere here. But yeah, it's not too far. It's not that big of a city.
It's not too far from the Musteel Hall in Detroit. Like the Maritime Sailors Cathedral is right there. It was between the old rink anyway and the come on, what's the not the Renaissance. What's the place? Is it a Marriott that has all those towers? Whatever the name of that hotel is.
Not a clue, but I know that my current hotel this weekend is actually right beside the old Tiger Stadium, which was kind of cool for me.
Okay, so it's right across from the place that was Hockey Town, which is Chelios as well. Okay, nobody cares about any of this Detroit tourism stuff. What we do care about is that the Red Wings are actually pretty good, and the Penguins won a weird game. Is it apt to refer to what happened the other night as a kind of a weird game in terms of the ebbs and the flows, of which there wasn't a whole lot of flow, and there were a lot of ebbs, and there were a lot of penalties called against one team and not the other, and then the Penguins ended up taking 2 really good points. And so what are the chances that they can do it again? This is a pretty good barometer against Detroit, which is now a first-place team.
Yeah. Now, Detroit had played the night before. They played Wednesday and Thursday, but they surely got a heaping helping of help from the referees. And, I'll give you a little bit of inside dirt. Some of the players were talking about that after practice yesterday. And what happened was the referees called a tight game in the first period, realized they called it too tight, and then they loosened up. But then it was the Penguins' turn to get power plays, and they didn't. So it really was kind of a very lopsided, affair in that way. But the Penguins' penalty kill held serve. To your question, listen, Detroit is not a hard to play against team. They're the one team in the Atlantic that actually hasn't stunk this year, but that doesn't mean they're very good yet. The goaltending has been okay, a little sus, as the kids might say, but they're fast and they've got some talent. But that doesn't mean that, I still wouldn't put them ahead of Florida, Toronto, Tampa Bay, even Montreal in the Atlantic yet.
How do you know the kids use the term sus? And in the prop
6'7", man, 6'7".
Oh, geez. Okay, I'm not even. I forget I even went down that road. But our Dom, the intern, who's more famous on this station than apparently anybody else is, but he quizzed me when I was on with Jeff. I think it was around Thanksgiving, and he ran by like 8 phrases that kids use today that younger people use, and I think I got 6 out of 8. Maybe only one. No, not 6 out of 8. I mean, I only got 2 out of 8, or was it 1 out of 8? I can't remember. But sus, that's a very good use of the term sus.
Well, it's just short for suspect, which I kind of like. I can shorten that word.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's one of the. I did not get that one though. I can't remember what I thought it might have meant, but I didn't get it right. Okay, so you mentioned the being on the penalty kill. If let's just say for the sake of argument that Blake Lizotte. I know he got called for one of the penalties, but if Blake Lizotte was unavailable in that game, would the Penguins have been able to win it? Because it seems to me like, I know there's a lot more cause and effect, and a lot of times you can't point to one specific thing, but my goodness, when he was not there, the penalty killing clearly suffered, and he's been really good.
Without Blake Lizotte, they went from 4th or 5th in the league to 18th. Back, with Blake Lizotte, they're back up to 11th overall. With Lizotte in the lineup, here's your stat to prove what you're saying. With him in the lineup this year, they are 17-7-6. So yeah, he means a lot. It's just the energy that he brings that rubs off on the rest of the team. It's how well that fourth line can play. The fourth line, Jim. They start less than 5% of their shifts in the offensive zone. They start such an overwhelming majority in the defensive zone, but if you look at the advanced analytics, they actually get the puck into the offensive zone a majority of the time. Just think of how much less work Sidney Crosby has to do when Blake Lizotte is sort of doing his thing with Nola Chari and Connor Dewar. And that line, especially, and I don't want to short sell Dewar and Achari, any one of those 3 players, I mean, they're all sort of, okay, they're fourth line guys. But you put those 3 together, and they are greater than the sum of their parts, which, is to the Penguins' eternal benefit.
Yeah, that was a good way to quantify it because, you tend to think of, you talk about like the top 6, right? And then the top 6, and everybody, you always want to find that third line that and I'll get to them in a second. You always want to find that third line. But my goodness, if you're going to be like a legitimate team, legitimate teams always have like that fourth line that can make a difference. And it's amazing, too, with how little ice time that they get, relatively speaking, how much of a difference that can make in the overall product.
Well, they don't get so little ice time anymore. Those days of them playing 8 minutes are gone. I mean, there have been games this year when they've played 14 and 15 minutes, Thursday included. That was because of the penalty kill.
Yeah.
But they have played well into double digits most of the games this season. We're talking, 11, 12, even 13 minutes on the regular. So, that is one thing Dan Muse has done. With very rare exceptions, have guys played less than 10 minutes. He's rolling 4 lines, and his lineup has been able to do that. So he hasn't had to shorten his bench or sort of chase the game too often.
All right, Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now joining us from, I got to say, Detroit, just because it sounds cool. It sounds very Canadian if you say Detroit. But the other thing that not has flown under the radar, but another thing that happened when things weren't going all so well is Brazeau wasn't in the lineup. He's come back. That's made a huge difference. And they haven't even gotten Malkin back yet, and I don't know when that's going to happen. But there's a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of moving parts around here, including Tommy Novak, who was filling in on the first line when Raquel was out, and there's trickle down and trickle up effects. But he's looked pretty good between Brazeau and Mantha. And then what's going to happen when Malkin comes back?
Well, those are good problems to have. The Tommy Novak's elevation over the last, let's call it 6 weeks or so, has so helped the Penguins. I mean, in the first 6 weeks of the season, he was not necessarily an NHL player. He was just sort of out there floating on the perimeter, not making an impact. His spot in the lineup to me was very perilous. It sort of clicked for a few games, and then Dan Muse needed him to go up in place of Rickard Rakell. Now, bear in mind, they put Connor Dewar on the top line before they tried Tommy Novak, which kind of tells you what they were thinking there. It clicked. It really clicked for Novak beside Crosby, and then his game just sort of kept taking off from there. And at this point now, he actually looks like a legit, I don't want to say a top six center. That might be out kicking his real coverage just a bit, but he's been very competent on that line with Mantha and Brazeau and Novak. They're putting the puck in the net. And, I guess it doesn't matter how you look. As long as you're doing that, everybody is happy. When Malkin comes back, Muse will have choices. Does he put Malkin between Chinakhov and McGroarty and kind of call that the second line and put Brazeau? It doesn't really matter what you call the lines, but that's one possibility. Maybe you put Novak in Kindle's spot and let Kindle take a breather. After all, he is 18 years old and maybe $170. So, it'll be curious. It's interesting to see what they'll do.
When is Malkin coming back?
I could tell you, but then I have to kill you.
Oh, okay. Well, don't tell me, but take a guess.
You know what?
That's a weird. I mean, hockey's. They're always as shielded as they can possibly be when it comes to injuries. And yet at the same time, this one's, I don't know, it seems to be a little bit weirder than others.
Yeah, he went from a maintenance day to having not played since, right? And honest to goodness, nobody is saying a word on the inside about, what that's all about. He did join practice yesterday in a white jersey, non-contact. But it was only like a 20, 23-minute practice, very sort of low energy. It wasn't a physical practice in which he would risk an injury. So he could kind of go out with the boys and have a little fun. But, I don't know. I would guess if he is actually able to be on the ice with the team 1 to 2 more weeks, but that's purely guessing.
All right. You mentioned Chinakhov, and this is another one where, well, I don't know. See, here's the thing: is that it's another one where you say, hey, they brought in Tomasino. They were hoping that he could, bring out whatever pedigree there was in there, and that hasn't worked, at least at the NHL level. But and we've seen such a small sample size, and we even saw a smaller sample size than we may normally would have because of the special teams that were so prevalent the other night. But what are your expectations for him, or are there any expectations? You just got to get him out there and see what you can get.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have any expectations of Chinakhov right now. My first impression, though, boy, can he skate. He's got a gear, a top gear that is pretty special. Also, he was much better in the defensive zone, much better actually in terms of game awareness. He stayed on top of the puck in the offensive zone, and by that I mean he didn't get caught too deep in the zone and have to chase back to play defense. He was, in front essentially, playing a responsible game. He had poise with the puck. He didn't treat it like a hand grenade, and as soon as it came his way, he didn't throw it away or give it back to somebody. He played with it. He surveyed what was available. it was difficult for him because of all the special teams where he was sitting for minutes on end, 4, 5, 6 minutes waiting for a shift. So, factoring all of that in, it was pretty good. And Jim, I'll also tell you this. I was kind of impressed with his maturity. Doing the media scrum, we all gather around the other morning, and obviously the question is, what didn't work in Columbus for you? And rather than maybe toss some red meat, at the media, he's like, I've already forgotten, new year, new page. And that was it. So it's like perfect answer, left us nowhere to go, and it really kind of, I thought showed some maturity on his part.
All right, there you go. I had something else for. Oh, I know. You know what? Here's something that's always occurred to me. This is one of those sort of like you never played the game kind of things from my from my standpoint. But when you get a game like the other night, and I realized that, well, he was actually one of the first guys in the penalty box. But if things go so badly in terms of being shorthanded, my goodness, I'd like to throw Sid out there to kill a penalty sometime just to see what would happen, because obviously he could pull it off if he was asked.
He has in the past. I mean, at this point, it's a very distant past. But yeah. Mike Sullivan sort of early in his tenure set the standard that he didn't want Crosby chewing up minutes and energy by killing penalties. I actually had the same thought. And look, other teams have done it. Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand killed penalties when they were together in Boston up until the end of Bergeron's career. So it's not as foolish as you might have alluded to it. But there again, if you're going to play Crosby 22 minutes, you want him to be in the offensive zone.
I remember thinking the same thing about Malkin, too, that because we saw him internationally back when the Russians played internationally, that he would be killing penalties for them, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, and I know they used to do it at the end of a shorthanded situation, especially depending on where the faceoff was, but where you bring Malkin and Crosby out sort of at the end of it, and that's got to put the other team back on its heels. But I know, nowadays we're talking about like guys in their late 30s going out doing that. So I guess I'm thinking in the past because why, Dan? Because I'm old.
You and I both.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Dan, thank you for, not I know about you, I know about me. If you have a chance, check out the Musty Old Hall in Detroit. It's really cool. And we will talk to you again soon. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it, and enjoy the game.
All right, thanks, Jim.
All right, Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now. The great website. You got to check it out. And say hi to my buddy Dave Molinari. He sent me like a Merry Christmas text, a couple of weeks ago. So that was always nice to hear from him. And thank you for Dan, he's on the road with the Penguins, so he knows what's going on. We appreciate that. All right, coming up next, we'll get back into the general atmosphere, I guess is what you'd call. Our people. We did finally find a few people that are excited about the Steelers game tomorrow night. It's a winner take all, a do or die, whatever phrase you want to use for it. It's a very important football game, and I just don't know how excited people are for it tomorrow night. So I'd like to hear from you when we're coming up here as we take you into Pitt basketball at 11:30. Fan weather is brought to you by Myers Law Group, Pittsburgh's choice for affordable legal solutions. It's cold. Temperatures in the 20s today and tomorrow. However, temperatures are going to climb. This is the January thaw, upwards of 60 again on Friday. I'm supposed to be doing this show again January 10th. I don't know. Maybe I'll be working at Pheasant Ridge instead. I'm Jim Colony, back in a sec on 93.7 The Fan.
Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan, the PM team, presented by Mike's Beer Bar.
A little while longer.
A little while longer now. A little while longer now. A little bit longer now. A little bit longer now. Hey, 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 hey.
That's good. A little while longer now.
The PM team at 2 p.m. Live and local, just like Mike's. Now, fan headlines powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville.
Just over an hour from now, you'll have Pitt basketball in action at the Peterson Event Center taking on Clemson. Noon is the tip-off time, and right here on The Fan with coverage at 11:30. Headlines powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville. For more, go to 937thefan.com.
Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan gets your day started with the latest in Pittsburgh sports with the Fan Morning Show with Doran Dickerson and Adam Crowley. Weekdays 5:40 to 10. Presented by Guardian Protection on Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
Pony and Muller here. Mike and Mike's Beer Bar is a big fan of us. In fact, he gave us our own beer. Okay, well, kind of. Each month, Mike picks a local beer that we call the Fan Beer of the Month. December's Fan Beer of the Month is Grist House's Hazadelic Juice Grenade. And the charity of the month is the American Cancer Society. Your purchase helps fuel critical research, advocacy, and patient support.
And if you don't like the Fan Beer of the Month, Mike has 4 other beers on tap that you can select, and he will make a donation to the charity. Check out the Fan Beer of the Month at Mike's Beer Bar.
Meet me at Mike's.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back.
Totally changed my life.
It's amazing. I don't have any cravings. You want to quit, but have found it impossible? This is the thing for you. I have absolutely no craving. It's the darndest thing I have ever seen in my life.
It's not for entertainment. It's for results.
Do it. It works. Period.
You've tried everything else. You need to come and try this.
Only $59.99. Because don't just cut down, but stop smoking. In addition, lose all the weight with Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Let hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings and lose the weight. Weight Loss Hypnosis, Sunday, January 11th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, Pittsburgh West in Green Tree, 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis, 2 p.m. Registration 30 minutes before seminar. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
HD1 Pittsburgh, an Odyssey sports station. Live from the Jim Shorkey Mitsubishi.com studios, North Huntington and North Hills. Always live and free on the Odyssey app.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-894-7722. That's 800-894-7722. Again, 800-894-7722.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Providers help thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-352-9239. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-352-9239. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-352-9239. 800-352-9239 or biglou.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Here's Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan's Fan About Town. If you're over 60 and looking for a weight loss program built specifically for you, Awaken 180 is your solution with Awaken 180 Golden, a new 1 to 3 month program for fast weight loss tailored to those over 60. Online at awaken180weightloss.com. Stop down to Rivers Casino for all black and gold home games. While you're there, stop in their sports book to see live sports action and enjoy some food and drinks to get you ready for the game. Looking for an incredible Pittsburgh fresh-made hoagie? Visit Tim's Corner Market in Beachview. Fresh house-made bread stacked high with the finest meats and premium toppings and packed with Pittsburgh flavor. The hoagie you didn't know you needed at Tim's Corner Market on Broadway Avenue in Beachview. For more information, visit 937thefan.com.
Hey, it's Andrew Filipponi for the FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 93.7 The Fan, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. Well, we've got one more big NFL Sunday with a full slate of games, and it's time for FanDuel to spice it up and give you something extra. It's not another NFL Sunday. It's your chance to do something bigger. Place that perfect parlay, hit your go-to player prop, and now FanDuel's going to make it even better because this week, FanDuel's bringing the bonus. That's right. All new customers get a 50% profit boost on any NFL bet. However you want to bet the game, get to FanDuel and put that bet in now. Sunday Night Football for all the marbles in the AFC North. The Steelers are a 3.5-point home underdog against the Ravens, and we've seen the way Mike Tomlin's teams have performed in playoff games. Pick your poison here on FanDuel, FanDuel.com/Andrew to download the app and get in on the action before kickoff. 21 plus and present in Pennsylvania. Opt-in required. Bonus issued is now drawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms. Sportsbook.FanDuel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Winters can be brutal in Pittsburgh, and if your heat's running nonstop but you're still cold, your old windows could be to blame. Window Nation can help. With over 3 million energy-efficient windows installed nationwide, Pittsburgh homeowners trust us to keep their homes warm, dry, and comfortable while lowering utility bills. And right now, save big with our Buy 4, Get 4 windows free sale, plus 0 down, 0 payment, 0 interest for 2 years. As a proud partner of the Pittsburgh Penguins, ask how you could score Pens tickets. Don't wait. Visit windownation.com today. Sale ends soon.
Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who will give it to you straight. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable, fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. This holiday season through January 4th, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
Guys, thanks for helping me carry my Christmas tree.
Zoe, this thing weighs a ton.
Drewski, lift with your legs, man.
Santa! Did you get my letter?
He's talking to you, Bridges.
I'm not that.
Of course he did. Right, Santa?
You know, my elf Drewski here, he handles the nice list.
An elf? I'm 6'3". What everyone wants is iPhone 17. And at T-Mobile, you can get it on them. That center stage front camera is amazing for group selfies. Right, Mrs. Claus?
I'm Mrs. Claus's much younger sister. And at T-Mobile, there's no trade-in needed when you switch. So you can keep your old phone.
Or give it as a gift.
And the best part, you can make the switch to T-Mobile from your phone in just 15 minutes.
Nice. My side of the tree is slipping.
Timber!
The holidays are better at T-Mobile. Switch in just 15 minutes and get iPhone 17 on us with no trade-in needed.
With 24 monthly bill credits for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off earlier. Cancel. Finance agreement 256 gigs, $830. Eligible port in a new line. $100 plus a month plan with auto pay plus taxes and fees required. Check out in 15 minutes or less per line. Visit T-Mobile.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-932-5858. That's 800-932-5858. 800-932-5858.
Hi, Paul Alexander here. Look, I know I'm probably older than most of you listening, but that's probably why you should listen. I dropped 35 pounds in 7 weeks at the age of 61 with Awaken 180. For me, it was a breeze, which shocked me because at my age, nothing about losing weight is supposed to be easy. Your metabolism slows down, your excuses speed up, and most programs feel like punishment. This one did not. The Awaken 180 program, my coach, the results, 10 times better than I'd ever imagined. I didn't starve. I didn't miss out on anything. I just followed the plan and watched the weight fall off. If you're 35 or 45, it's a no-brainer. You're in your prime for this. But if you're 60 or older, I'm telling you, it works. 3 years later, I haven't added a single pound back. Awaken 180 weight loss, one of the best decisions I've ever made. For your in-person or at-home consultation, make the call. 844-346-1800, 844-346-1800, or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Legendary doesn't happen by chance. It happens because it's what BetMGM does. Sign up for BetMGM and check out all the exciting new ways you can make this pro football season unforgettable. Shoot your shot with same-game parlays. Call your plays like a pro with live betting, or bet on a market you didn't know existed thanks to BetMGM Originals. You'll be on the edge of your seat from the very first snap, no matter what type of fan you are. Earn BetMGM rewards points on every bet. Take advantage of football offers found nowhere else, like a second chance on a first touchdown bet. And keep an eye out for rewards dropping in your account throughout the season. Never settle for the ordinary. Sign up today. BetMGM. Make it legendary. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus to wager. Pennsylvania only. Subject to eligibility requirements. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your hometown building partner since 1956. 84 Lumber. Visit 84lumber.com. Text us on the Edgar Snyder and Associates text line at 412-928-9370. Edgar Snyder and Associates reminds you to text responsibly. Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan, built by Window Nation. Home of the buy two, get two free offer.
If you are a fighter, Modelo is your reward. So listen close. You put up with a lot, but you always hold it down for your people. You are strong. You are fearless. You are the baddest on the block. You are an elbow grease factory, a force of nature. You are not to be reckoned with. You are a ride or die, a powerhouse of productivity. You are a fighter, and Modelo is your reward. You've earned every last drop of this rich golden lager, so raise it up high. Modelo, the mark of a fighter. Drink responsibly. Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Now, fan headlines powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville.
All right, Joel Nelson for Fan Headlines at noon today. Penguins in action against Detroit. Pitt basketball also in action against Clemson at noon at the Peterson Event Center. It's on the Fan with coverage at 11:30. For headlines at 937thefan.com. Headlines are powered by Bowser Genesis of Monroeville.
93.7 The Fan is cleared by aquickdrain.com.
All right, this is ridiculously hot news. One of the great things about being in the communications industry, and I've been in it, I first got in it in 1979, and I don't think things have changed, but the one thing we often don't do in the communications industry is communicate with one another. So you can hear the little chuckle. Yes, right. Pomp is here. This is huge.
I didn't get the message that I was not. I thought the Pitt game. I didn't know there was a Pitt game at 11:30, and but I've been out of
circulation
for a few days and didn't get the message if there was one. So here I am.
Yeah. So the door opens. I'm like, who is here? And it's Bob. So all right. So we got about like 10 minutes here that we can just kind of commiserate with one another, which is fine. So I'm apologize you don't have a show, but
no, it's no big deal.
Great.
I mean, I'm here. I like listening to you, and I was sitting in the other room. So
yeah, could I just point out to you that next Saturday there is also a Pitt game at noontime.
Okay.
So, but if you want to come in,
sure,
you can come in at 9 if you want.
I'm conditioned.
You can come in at 9 if you want. So one of the things now I'm taking no calls. I'm going to ignore the text messages, but because we got Bob here. So I mean, what's your and you probably not probably you do have your your finger on the proverbial pulse more than I do in my situation. But I just I don't feel any kind of buzz what there should be for this game tomorrow. That in Steelers seasons and past, this would be it, and everybody would be all fired up. And I just don't get that. I don't get that sense.
No, I understand how it goes. I know how fan discontent works, because I see it in action when people are expecting different things.
Yes, I watch you and Chris. Although the other game it was it was Arthur. Arthur Motes was there. But goes, who's that? He seems like a really nice guy. I said, yeah, that's Arthur Motes. He is.
He is. He's the guy who took out Brett Favre's streak. He nailed him and took him out of action, and the consecutive game streak went down. So, I mean, we all know what that is. Yes. When you do these shows enough, you know how and I understand it. It's been a long time since they've had a significant playoff win. But I also, I'm one of these people who preach that, you got to live the moment. And I believe that in everything that I do. I try to tell my kids, you have what you have. Are you disappointed? They lost. It was an awful, embarrassing display in Cleveland. DK Metcalf's absence, to me, was a big deal in that game, and will be a big deal again tomorrow. There's no way around that. That should never have happened. It did, and so they pay the price for that. But even so, the numbers in that game suggested to me that they should have run the ball more. They were having success in the run, and they threw it 39 times against the number one ranked pass defense without your two top pass catchers. How does that make any sense? It doesn't to me.
Sounds an awful lot like what John Harbaugh does against the Steelers sometimes.
Where both those coaches are. It's funny how this works, and I think in Baltimore you probably have the same recognition that, it's a little fan apathy to the point where, But Baltimore, this is why it's disappointing and why I think there's fan discontent here. The Steelers got off to a 4-1 start, Jim, The Ravens started 1-5. Burrow's out for 3 months, essentially. The door was extremely wide open, and they still may get through it, but it shouldn't come down to this game. So I think that's why people have – but at the same time, it is for a division championship. There have been many great games. Tomorrow could be one of those games. And if they win, they get to the playoffs. And I think people need to just enjoy that moment as well.
Scalping is different than it used to be, right? It's got to be, right? Because everything is online now, and it's what was it, Gerard, Crazy Legs, right? The guy in the wheelchair. We used to see him all the time. I'd see him up in Cleveland. He'd be up in Cleveland scalping tickets.
Yep.
And so I remember talking to him and stuff like that. And then there are the other guys that you would see on the corners. I don't even know if they're still there anymore. And I don't even know if you – but what do you do? You electronically transfer something? At any rate,
I don't know how that works.
Forgetting about how you do it, because I'm not doing it, and I don't know how, so it doesn't matter. But the market for that, this would be a scalper's paradise.
Absolutely.
And I just – don't know if there's any kind of a demand. And I guess you can go online and look at whatever, StubHub and SeatGeek and whoever else advertises on the station, get them from them. But that you can get seats for whatever. And I don't know. It just doesn't seem – this should be fun. And yet it's almost like people, well, even if we win, we're just going to lose.
I understand that, but I don't – if I'm a fan, I don't think that way. At least I shouldn't. You can be realistic about it, and they have problems, and those problems have lingered through the years. But this is a winner-take-all situation. It's never happened before in this rivalry. So I would say to those who are interested, and television ratings will be huge for it. That's why the NFL did what it did. But, hey, you have a chance to get in the playoffs. Who's to say? I was looking back, Jim, in 2005 when the Steelers were 7-5. And pretty much on life support, according to a lot of people. They were not playing well. They were trying to get in the playoffs. They had to win out to get there. And that's, the legendary run that became the first 6 seed ever to win. No one thought that possible at the time. But then it gradually wins. What happens if they win today and they somehow win a playoff game at home? Do people then, still unhappy, discontent, want change? I get it. I understand why people get that. But at the same time, you're missing out on an opportunity if I'm a fan. I want to enjoy it and see what happens with it.
And I'm going to contradict myself here. Maybe I'm wrong, because I'm looking. The only thing I can go by is what you see. Like, you go to ESPN, and if you go to the schedule, and it will tell you, whoever they're in bed with, that tickets are as low as whatever, $275.
Right.
So
normally
that actually
it'd be $2,075.
Yeah. So there is a demand, and maybe the face value of tickets nowadays. But you look at other games like the Cardinals at Rams, $42. Raiders, forget about that, because both those teams are out of it. But really, the other ones, they're not. The games where there are things are at stake, like the one today in Tampa, $90, I guess it says as low as 90, and then the other one, for the top seed, Seattle at San Francisco, that's $280. But so maybe there is more of a demand than I thought. Maybe people are excited. And we had a few people that call in that said, well, how can you not be excited? But I think it's just, it's almost like the same thing. Well, it's happened with every sport here where, even with the Pirates finally doing some positive things, certainly relative to what they had in the past. But people are like, well, what good's it going to do them? They'll still win 80 games.
Well, it's a first step for them. They have to continue. There are other things that need to be done before this is ever going to be looked at as a team that can compete. They're better than they were. They're not as good as they need to be.
Well, it's absolutely crazy. And Bob, we're out of time. I mean, the greatest show ever.
I appreciate it. Let me come on just for a couple seconds.
Why would
anyway.
I not have you come on?
Because I had a whole show planned.
You should have come on earlier.
I had all kinds of stuff I was going to do today, but we'll do it again. Okay. Not next week, but whenever.
All right, the Pond pre-show, which was
Well, I'll be on Monday. We have a lot to talk about with Joe, and we'll figure out how this goes.
Well, and that's the other disappointment. Why couldn't we have had a Saturday afternoon? Although it would have been an ESPN game, so that would have been on It would have been on Channel 4. Yeah. But at any rate, see, I miss out on the CBS. I want that 4:25 Sunday afternoon game.
I love that time slot. That's the best time slot.
It really is. There's no question about it. With all the people calling in after the games, and it's. Although I've been pretty disappointed in the callers. There hasn't been as much anger as as I've been hoping.
Anger is good. Apathy's no good.
Because I don't stay up for the real angry people at 11:35.
They're real angry, and they stay up for a reason.
Or yes, they do. Can't wait 2 hours. I got to call Pop. All right, hey Bob, thank you.
Happy New Year, Jim.
Yes, Happy New Year to you as well.
You too over there, my man.
Nelly.
Does anyone do more than Nelly does?
No.
Joel Nelson's like.
Certainly not on Saturdays.
No, he's always a marathon man.
And now he's going to have to squeeze stuff in between now and the beginning of the Pitt Basketball Network. And I got to get fan weather in, Bob. Thank you, Joel. Thank you. Thank everybody for calling and listening and texting. Fan weather is brought to you by Myers Law Group, fans' choice for affordable legal solutions. Cold this weekend, temperatures in the 20s. Tomorrow it's going to be cold tomorrow night for the football game. But then a January thaw, temperatures climbing up during the work week. 60 on Friday. You've got to absolutely be kidding me. We'll talk to you again next week. Bye.
We're going to be so late for the concert at Point State Park. We should be there by now.